Chapter 66. Congratulations to the host for successfully containing 008 and getting the reward ability 008 Virus Control. 008 Virus Control. 008 and 008 derived viruses will be controlled by this ability. That is to say, can I directly inactivate all the viruses of other organizations with zombie viruses? Jiang Bai looked at these seemingly useless abilities, but they were actually extremely useful abilities, and nodded in satisfaction. To put it bluntly, this ability is to allow Jiang Bai to control these viruses and decide whether the viruses are contagious by himself, or even directly kill all these viruses. Definitely there is another method, which is to let these viruses infect all human beings, but they don't erupt, but just lie dormant, and when Jiang Bai wants them to erupt, groups will explode. If this is really done, it is basically the same as the zombie outbreak in the Marvel world. Jiang Bai remembered that in the world where the zombie virus broke out, it seemed that Doctor Strange and Purple Sweet Potato Essence were all infected and turned into zombies, and these zombies could still use the abilities they had before they became zombies, which was outrageous. If he really did this, Jiang Bai estimated that he should be able to infect the entire Earth into his own world in a very short period of time. But Jiang Bai did not intend to do so, because the first point is uncertainty. The reason why Marvel was infected was mainly because superhero got together, and then one was infected and the whole army was wiped out. Secondly, if Jiang Bai does this, wouldn't it run counter to the purpose of the Foundation? In a world full of zombies, Jiang Bai is useless. So Jiang Bai naturally has no plans in this regard. But this is not useless, for example. Can it come in handy now? In this raccoon city full of zombies, Jiang Bai's power is very useful. Beautiful country military. General Ross is planning the use of nuclear bombs. I've already said that the current raccoon city is completely hopeless. We must destroy the entire raccoon city before the zombie virus breaks out further. Otherwise, the whole beautiful country will be buried with it. General Ross, Banner's father-in-law, is also the future Red Giant. At this moment, he is obtaining the authority to use nuclear bombs from the higher-ups, but because this is a big city with more than 3 million people living in it after all, if just one nuclear bomb goes down like this, it will definitely cause an uproar all over the country if they are all blown up. But if you don't do this, who knows if these zombies will bring the virus to other cities? Especially here I am still in charge now. As long as I do it for myself, what should I do? What? SHIELD? So what if they're here? At least give them a medal. Okay, I'll give them one day. I will use the nuclear bomb before dark. If they can solve the crisis in Raccoon City before then, I will not use the nuclear bomb. After Ross finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly. A bunch of idiots. While Ross cursed, there was a little strange light in his eyes. If this virus can be used as a strategic weapon, maybe? General, the zombies in the city suddenly stopped moving. While Ross was thinking about the possibility of using the zombie virus as a strategic weapon, he suddenly heard a soldier shout. What? Rose hurried up to check the situation, and sure enough, he saw that all the zombies on the monitor had stopped moving. What's going on? Regarding the zombies in Raccoon City, General Ross has been monitored for a long time. Although they moved very slowly before encountering a living person, they were still moving non-stop, looking for prey. Never said they would stop, but now they say they will stop? Now that these zombies have actually stopped, there must be something wrong. Rose knew immediately that something must have happened, but none of these soldiers knew what happened. They could only look at General Ross blankly, then shook their heads. A bunch of trash. General Ross's faces full of bewilderment and ignorance were bursts of anger. I really don't know what the country is raising these wastes for. If my plan to use gamma rays to make super soldiers had succeeded, maybe I wouldn't waste time with these wastes here now. General Ross thought about it regretfully in his heart, but the next moment he heard a voice that made him almost doubt his own ears. Father, do you see who is coming? General Ross turned his head and saw his daughter. Elizabeth Ross was pulling a man towards him, and behind them there were a few familiar people. General Ross looked at their embarrassment, but couldn't remember who it was. It wasn't until he saw the shield in Captain America's hand, which was almost a status symbol, that he realized it. Captain America, Wolverine, and? General Ross shifted his gaze to the man holding Elizabeth's arm, with displeasure flashing in his eyes. Dr. Banner. General Ross is very unfriendly to Dr. Banner, or he is very unfriendly to everyone who is close to his daughter, especially to Banner, her boyfriend. In addition, because of the failure of Banner's experiment, General Ross is now in a rather passive position. Many opponents use Dr. Banner's loss of control to attack him. Otherwise, he would not be reduced to leading his troops to Raccoon City to perform such a dangerous mission. I said, why are you so active this time? And you said you were worried about me. You must come with me. So it was for him, right? General Ross looked at his daughter with the look of a girl who didn't want to be a big girl. Father. Elizabeth was also shy for a while by General Ross's appearance, so she could only lower her head and say something coquettishly in displeasure. General Ross didn't get too entangled in this matter, and then asked Dr. Banner about the current situation in Raccoon City. What's the situation in Raccoon City now? Why did these zombies suddenly stop moving? This? Dr. Banner and Captain America also looked at each other with big eyes and small eyes. After a while, they said, actually, we don't know exactly what the situation is. We only know that we were fighting the monster that Spencer turned into, but the battle just halfway through, Spencer and the zombies besieging us suddenly stopped moving. We had a chance to get rid of Spencer, and then we received a call from Elizabeth on the way, saying that the military was going to launch a nuclear bomb to destroy the entire Raccoon City, so we wanted to persuade him. At this time, Phil Coulson, as a senior executive of SHIELD, also stood up. General Ross, I believe that you did this for the safety of the entire beautiful country and all mankind. But after all, this is a big city, and there are millions of innocent civilians in it. I hope you can carefully consider this matter. If it was Dr. Banner who said it, it was Wolverine, or even Captain America. General Ross will not take it too seriously, because none of them have such a position to make their own decisions. But if it is SHIELD, and it is a high level of S.H.I.E.L.D., then General Ross must think about it. But just thinking about it, General Ross quickly made his own decision. Sorry, although there are many innocent people in Raccoon City, the outbreak of the virus has exceeded our imagination. If we make corresponding preparations at this time, we will completely nip the virus in the bud. General Ross looked around, and then non-negotiable said, I swear you will all regret it. Hearing what General Ross said, everyone fell silent. They knew that General Ross was not trying to scare them. If the virus really spread further, unexpected terrorist incidents might really happen. So they are all silent. Don't know what to do? Okay, since you're all fine, go back first. Especially you, Banner. You will deal with your affairs later. Now you need to be under the double surveillance of me and SHIELD. The reason why Dr. Banner was able to appear above board this time is because SHIELD came forward as a guarantee, allowing Dr. Banner to be exempted from the previous crimes caused by the loss of control of the Hulk. Understood. Dr. Banner felt uneasy when he heard the words, but he was relieved after seeing the comforting eyes of Phil Coulson and the others. Colonel Furyk, taking advantage of the unknown situation in Raccoon City and the absence of these zombies, immediately go to the Umbrella Company's laboratory and bring me all the information about this virus. After Captain America and the others all left, General Ross turned his head and said to a subordinate beside him, Obey. Colonel Furyk is one of the most powerful subordinates around General Ross. Before that, he had dealt with some troublesome things for General Ross many times. It can be said that 70% of General Ross's shady things were Colonel Furyk when to finish it. This is also the reason why General Ross will leave this matter to him to complete with peace of mind. You guys follow me. Colonel Furyk knew very well that General Ross did this to find a plan that could make up for this mistake after the Gamma Ray plan failed. Therefore, there are not many people involved in this operation, but they must be loyal and trustworthy. Therefore, Colonel Furyk chose all his cronies. Although there are not many people, their strength and loyalty are trustworthy. After selecting good people, Colonel Furyk led the people into the west of Raccoon City. Because the zombies in Raccoon City are no longer active at this moment, Colonel Furyk and the others moved smoothly, and they arrived at the Umbrella Company's laboratory with almost no obstacles. But as soon as he arrived at the gate of the Umbrella Company's laboratory, for some reason, Colonel Furyk looked at the deep and dark laboratory in front of him, and suddenly felt a kind of fear and anxiety in his heart. But I can't explain why I feel this way. And Colonel Furyk found that not only himself, but also the people he brought, they were all looking at the laboratory in front of them with a little fear. Did you find anything? Sir, no. After hearing his subordinate's answer, Colonel Furyk not only did not relax at all, but became even more disturbed, because their faces obviously had deep fear and anxiety, but even they didn't know where this fear and anxiety came from, so naturally they couldn't answer Furyk. Sir, are we really going in? Several soldiers looked at the deep and dark laboratory, couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva, and asked Furyk a little nervously. Colonel Furyk looked at the laboratory door in front of him, and he really didn't want to go in. He has a strong feeling that once he enters, he will encounter extreme. It's a horrible thing, but as a soldier, you should obey orders. So finally, you two go in first to see what's going on? Ah. The two people who spoke just now took 2 steps back when they heard this. It seemed that they might turn around and run away at any time. But behind them, a dozen soldiers had already pointed their guns at them. Now they have only one way, and that is to go in honestly. If you go in, you won't necessarily die. New Ollie is good. But if you don't go in, you will definitely die. So the two can only choose to enter it. Don't worry, we are right behind. If you encounter danger, you should shout immediately, and we will rush in to save you. Colonel Furyk didn't forget to draw cakes for them at this time to appease their mood. Colonel Furyk definitely didn't care about this. After all, everyone knew that these two people were cannon fodder. After the two went in, Colonel Furyk and others looked at them nervously. In their eyes, at the door of the laboratory in front of them, at the moment is like a prehistoric giant opening its bloody mouth, waiting for them to come to the door. And after they entered, Colonel Furyk and others watched all this with uneasy faces, and everyone was expecting that nothing would happen inside. However, in fact, after the two people entered, there was really no communication at all. On the contrary, this made Colonel Furyk even more uneasy, and felt that this matter was even more weird. Just as Colonel Furyk wondered if he should go in and see what happened, suddenly a strange voice came from inside. There was madness in that voice, and it was weird. That creepy, chilling, and fearful feeling really made Colonel Furyk and the others feel a burst of fear from the bottom of their hearts. But at the same time of fear, they all had strong curiosity, as if there was a magic power of ignorance attracting them, making them want to go to the laboratory involuntarily. Walk inside. At this moment, the voice from the laboratory is still constantly ringing. Praise you, my lord, the old days will come, and the stars will return to their proper orbits, the supreme old lord. The Zero End. Chapter 67. Colonel Furyk and these soldiers were full of doubts and puzzles when they heard the strange voice coming from the laboratory, especially the weird tone, that kind of weird tone that a person would have when he completely lost his mind. All of these made their hearts full of doubts and puzzles, not sure what the hell is going on here. But at the same time, all of this made them shudder. Colonel Furyk reached out and touched his back, which was soaked in sweat at the moment. The beating heart was also expressing his fear and anxiety at the moment, and even Colonel Furyk felt his body trembling slightly. He didn't understand what happened inside, but he knew that something must have happened inside, and it was extremely dangerous. Originally, at this time, Furyk should leave immediately, and then let General Ross immediately launch a nuclear bomb to completely flatten this place. But now Colonel Furyk did not do this. Instead, he tentatively walked into the laboratory with a disturbed, uneasy but extremely curious look. The same was true for the other soldiers, and they all walked towards the laboratory under the trend of curiosity. Obviously, they all know that this laboratory is absolutely not allowed to enter. Obviously, there was a voice in their hearts telling them constantly that they couldn't go in, and they couldn't go in no matter what. They had to leave now, but they still couldn't control their feet and were still walking towards the laboratory. Looking at the deep and dark laboratory in front of him, Colonel Furyk's eyes were full of fear, constantly muttering in my heart, "No, no, can't go in. Absolutely can't go in. I should go back now and let the general blow up this damn place with a big boy." But his mouth was saying, "Be careful, everyone. Go in and see what the hell they are doing inside." If it was normal, these soldiers would refuse without hesitation the moment this order came out. But this time, none of these soldiers refused Furyk's order. Instead, he followed Furyk and slowly walked inside. Even they themselves can't understand why they do what they do, but they just couldn't control the curiosity in their hearts. They just wanted to see what happened inside. So they went in, and then 353 they saw. After passing through the dark, infiltrating road full of blood and destruction, they entered the interior of the laboratory and saw everything they wanted to see. Those two people just now are dead at this moment. They fell in a pool of blood, and in front of them was a wall with a black shadow and scribbled blood on the wall. It seemed that the two soldiers had painted something on the wall with their own blood. But they bleed to death until they died, but they didn't draw this thing. Two blood-stained corpses, a strange shadow and a half-drawn pattern with blood. All of these are strange and terrifying. Just seeing all this has already made Colonel Furyk completely lose his courage. As a soldier who can be chosen by Ross to be his confidant, Colonel Furyk's willpower can definitely stand the test. But now Colonel Furyk is really afraid. He is afraid, and there is only fear and uneasiness in his heart like a tide. Colonel Furyk even wanted to propose to leave here, but the moment he looked up, he saw the shadow. In fact, There are lights in this laboratory at the moment. It is not as deep and dark as it looks outside. Logically speaking, under such light, there should not be such a strong shadow on the wall. But now this shadow not only exists, but also reveals a weirdness and danger. Just seeing this shadow, Colonel Furyk seemed to see the boundless darkness, and there seemed to be something wriggling in this darkness. It is an existence that humans cannot understand and cannot see. Even Colonel Furyk couldn't even tell each other's name. Because that is not the tone that human language can produce, he can only use a word that is closest to the meaning of the other party's name, and shout out the other party's name. Praise you, my lord, my idol, my only, old lord of the sun. Except for Furyk, the other soldiers are the same at the moment. They also became completely fanatical. Just watching this scene, they have completely fallen into fanatical worship and belief. Especially when seeing the unfinished painting above the shadows. They felt anger, a kind of unspeakable anger and shame, and they thought this unfinished painting was a stain on their beliefs. As the most devout believers of the Old Lord, they should complete this transformation and spread this painting, so that everyone can know the reputation of the Old Lord and feel the glory of the Old Lord. So they took out their sabers, cut their wrists, and let the blood flow out like an open faucet. But they just stretched out their fingers, dipped their own blood, and then filled the faint painting. Obviously, each of them is just painting on their own, but their paintings are surprisingly consistent, as if they are painting alone. Soon, through the hands of more than a dozen of them, the finished painting appeared in front of them. It was a very strange, even incomprehensible transformation. It looks full of abstraction, even strange and incomprehensible like a child's graffiti. But it was precisely such a painting that satisfied all of them. These people knelt on the ground, kowtowed to the painting constantly, and muttered to themselves, "Old Lord, we can't describe your majestic figure, but we are full of admiration for you. Please forgive me our poor imitation. May we gain eternity in your kingdom." After saying these words, these soldiers made up one after another and fell down. Seeing this scene, Colonel Furyk was not worried at all. Instead, he calmly took out his saber and put it on his wrist. At this time, General Ross also called. Because Colonel Furyk's mobile phone is specially made in the army, General Ross's phone will be connected automatically without manual operation. "Furyk, what are you doing? Why haven't you reported to me for so long?" On the other end of the phone came the voice of General Ross, who was somewhat exasperated. He asked Colonel Furyk to come here to collect information about the zombie virus, but Colonel Furyk did not report his progress for so long, which made General Ross wait a little anxiously. "That's why I rushed to call and ask what's going on right now." However, at this moment, Colonel Furyk didn't care about General Ross's words at all. Instead, he murmured constantly in his mouth, "Praise you, my lord, my God, the master of my life, the ruler of all my things. I will dedicate my most precious everything to you." Colonel Furyk cut his wrist with a knife while talking. Blood was constantly flowing from the wound, but Colonel Furyk didn't care. He just dipped his hand in some of his own blood, and then began to paint his own part. "Belongs to what I should describe, the Lord of the Old that exists in my heart." When his fingers lightly slid across the wall, what he wanted to reflect became clear. It was an inexplicable, BCCC, weird, distorted and fragmented existence. It seems to be very thin, and there are tentacles flying behind it, and inside these tentacles, there are so many teeth, just like lampreys. In fact, this painting is not clear, and many places look quite blurry. But such a painting has a strange and penetrating feeling. I believe that any normal person will be shocked by this weird feeling the moment they look at this painting. But Colonel Furyk shared that he didn't feel any fear, but was full of excitement and joy, and even shed tears. "May I be eternal in your kingdom." Following these words, Colonel Furyk fell heavily to the ground, completely lost breath. Damn it, what the hell is he doing? General Ross heard the movement from Colonel Furyk's side through the phone. He heard that Colonel Furyk seemed to be muttering about the Lord of the Old One, and his figure was very fanatical, even more fanatical than those believers he had seen before. "I've never heard of it. This be asterisk 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 D is still a believer? And what kind of God is the Lord of the Old Ones? Does such a God really exist?" General Ross was constantly complaining, but he already understood in his heart that something had happened to Colonel Furyk. "Oh, my God. This be asterisk 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 D hasn't handed over the books and those to me. If he dies like this, he must bring his mobile phone back." Colonel Furyk is a close friend of General Ross. The evidence of General Ross's cooperation with many people, and the books of military corruption are all in Colonel Furik's place. If Colonel Furik is really dead, the only clue to finding these things is his cell phone. Originally, General Ross was criticized by many people because of the failure of Dr. Banner's research. If these fall into the hands of others, General Ross can guarantee that he will die. So in order to avoid this kind of thing from happening, General Ross decided to take the team to see what happened to Colonel Furik himself. If you just let others go, General Ross is not at ease. If the other party is an undercover agent sent by his opponent and hands Furik's mobile phone to his opponent, his future will be completely ruined. So after thinking about it, General Ross felt that it was the safest way to go by himself. You guys, come with me. General Ross selected a few officers he could trust, and then brought along a special operations team with the strongest combat effectiveness around him. This special operations team is extremely powerful, and it even contained a certain terrorist organization with a single army, and nearly 10,000 people were unable to participate in frontal battles. General Ross is still very relieved about their combat effectiveness. With these people, General Ross marched all the way to the laboratory of the Umbrella Company. But at the door of the laboratory, they also encountered the same situation as Colonel Furik and others. At the door of the laboratory, they felt fear, danger, but at the same time they were full of curiosity. Itching in their hearts, there is an inexplicable temptation attracting them, allowing them to enter the laboratory. General Ross knew in a split second something is wrong with this place. There must be problems inside, and even General Ross wanted to turn around and leave. No matter how important the mobile phone is, it is not as dangerous as this ghostly place. If I continue to stay here, I will definitely encounter unimaginable horrors. Think like this, do like this. General Ross turned his head and led the crowd, wanting to leave here. But not long after he left, General Ross suddenly found that there was no way in front of him. Looking again, I didn't know when I had arrived in the laboratory. This is how the same thing. General Ross directly grabbed an officer beside him, wanting to ask him what was going on. Why was he here? But with just this touch, General Ross felt something was wrong, because the person in front of him is no longer alive. At the same time, General Ross felt that there seemed to be water under his feet, but when General Ross looked down, he found that it was not, but blood. Plop. With a sound, General Ross felt his knees go limp and his buttocks sat in a pool of blood. A lot of blood splashed on General Ross's body, making him look extraordinarily weird, like a weird demon bathed in blood. No. What the hell is this place? God, I beg you to be merciful and bless your believers. General Ross, who never believed in gods at this moment, he couldn't help but pray to the gods he had always sneered at. However, the gods did not give him any response. In a panic, General Ross looked up and seemed to see a painting. It was a painting hidden in the shadows. It was distorted, weird, full of hideousness and horror, but beautiful. The moment General Ross saw the painting, he was completely attracted, as if a lost lamb saw the way home. Gradually, fanaticism and excitement appeared in General Ross' eyes. Praise be to you, the Supreme Old Lord. At this moment, Jiang Bai, who had returned to the Raccoon City branch, was also prompted by the system. Congratulations to the host, Thaddeus E. Ross, for becoming your believer.
The end.
Chapter 68. It worked, but in a shorter time than I planned. When Jiang Bai heard this, instead of being surprised at all, he felt that he was in control. Because all of this was Jiang Bai's own plan. In fact, Jiang Bai has been planning from the very beginning how to get the military to give up the plan to launch nuclear bombs. After thinking about it for a long time, Jiang Bai finally decided to use the characteristics of the Great Old Lord Seal to convert the high-ranking military officers in charge of the siege of Raccoon City into his own believers. It's just that even Jiang Bai didn't expect the plan to succeed so quickly. Originally, Jiang Bai thought that it would take a while to succeed. As a result, it wasn't long before the target was delivered to the door by itself. This made it impossible to use some of Jiang Bai's backhands. In fact, if it wasn't for the accident of Colonel Furik this time, and the troublesome situation facing General Ross, it would be almost impossible for Jiang Bai to let General Ross see the mark of the Old Lord so easily. But it is precisely because of these coincidences that the group will make this matter go so smoothly. SAN value plus 100. SAN value plus 100. At the moment, Jiang Bai kept hearing reminders of the increase in the SAN value. It took a full minute or so to subside. This time Jiang Bai got 3,000 SAN points. It can be regarded as a bumper harvest. After all, General Ross this time is not an ordinary person. As the future Red Giant, Hulk's father-in-law, General Ross is quite important in the entire Marvel. Plus, he is a lieutenant general in the Air Force in the beautiful country, and there are a lot of soldiers around him. The above points are destined to make Jiang Bai live after gaining his faith, to a large number of benefits. Your believer Thaddeus E. Ross is begging for your response. Use will to descend? Arrival. Jiang Bai didn't have the slightest hesitation and immediately used the will to descend. This time Jiang Bai no longer used the flame of an alcohol lamp as a carrier, but the painting. The painting that Colonel Furyk and the others made with blood is used as a carrier. At this time, the paintings in the shadows seemed to have more weird colors. A weirder magic power emanated from the painting, which made General Ross and others worship Jiang Bai even more fervently, constantly shouting the glory and prestige of the old lord. Looking through the painting, Jiang Bai saw that General Ross and his subordinates were all kneeling down fanatically, carving their heads on the ground one after another. To clean the blood from their bodies, is it their own? Or the blood on the ground? Crazy, excited, and other emotions are hanging on everyone's face. It looks like a lunatic. I believe that any normal person will feel a burst of fear from the bottom of their hearts when they see their appearance at this moment. Stand up. The voice of Jiang Bai appeared in the minds of all of them. After hearing Jiang Bai's voice, these people became even more excited and fanatical. At the same time, they all stood up immediately. This is not because they are not pious enough, but because this is Jiang Bai's order. Immediately stop the plan to use nuclear bombs on Raccoon City, and then I will destroy all the viruses in Raccoon City, and say to the outside world that you have found the vaccine serum and completely solved these viruses. Jiang Bai has a plan to help him bury chess pieces and eyes in the beautiful country. General Ross is the lieutenant general of the beautiful country. If General Ross can make contributions in this operation, his position will definitely be stabilized. Even after a wave of publicity, it is very likely that General Ross will become the second Captain America. The higher the status of General Ross, the more information and various benefits he can obtain will also increase a lot. So turning General Ross into his believer this time is not only to solve the problem of nuclear bombs, but also has some longer-term plans. Yes. As a believer of Jiang Bai, General Ross will naturally not disobey Jiang Bai's orders. Whatever Jiang Bai says is what he says. Even if Jiang Bai wants him to commit suicide now, he won't show any hesitation. Very well, now you will do as I said, return to the army immediately, and then stop the plan to launch nuclear bombs. Yes. General Ross got up immediately and led his subordinates to turn around and leave the place. And Jiang Bai also withdrew his will and returned to his body. The old paintings originally painted with blood on the wall, as well as the lingering shadows, disappeared, as if they had never appeared before. General Ross returned to the army with his men. At the moment Captain America, they have been waiting here for a long time. General Ross, we still hope that you can think about it carefully. After all, there are millions of people here. After all, Phil Coulson is a senior executive of SHIELD, so he should speak a little more modestly. But Captain America is less polite. General Ross, I don't think you want the whole country to know what you did in Raccoon City, do you? Threaten. This is a naked threat. Captain America actually doesn't have much political savvy, otherwise he wouldn't be just a Captain America. Although Phil Coulson was full of admiration for Captain America, his face changed after hearing what Captain America said. In his impression, General Ross has always been an iron-blooded tough guy who will not give up. Captain America threatened him like this, and it is very likely that he will be angered instead. But what Phil Coulson didn't expect was that General Ross didn't care about it. He just looked at Captain America calmly, and then said slowly, "Now that the crisis in Raccoon City is over, I won't launch a nuclear bomb." As soon as these words came out, Captain America, Phil Coulson and others were all dumbfounded. Lifted? Only those who have experienced that battle know how dangerous this zombie virus is. It wasn't just the SHIELD who were fighting the Spencer-turned monster back then, but the mutant brothers as well. But even so, they also fought very hard in that battle. It wasn't until the end that the monster and zombies that Spencer turned into stopped moving, and they found a chance to solve Spencer's problem. So at this moment, after General Ross said that the problem had been solved, they all looked puzzled and puzzled. Don't understand what's going on? How could all of a sudden Raccoon City's problems be solved? That's right, it's been lifted. General Ross nodded. I have found the therapeutic serum in the Umbrella Company's laboratory, and used the delivery in the laboratory to deliver the therapeutic serum to the entire Raccoon City, and now the virus in Raccoon City has been completely eliminated. Phil Coulson noticed the problem just by hearing it, and felt that this matter should not be as simple as General Ross said. Dang even looked at General Ross suspiciously. Umbrella's in-lab therapeutic serum? That's a side. But General Ross will kindly put all these healing serums in Raccoon City? Phil Coulson knew exactly what General Ross wanted to do when he sent people to the lab. Looking for virus information, it is best to find some virus samples and then plan new strategic weapons. If there really is a healing serum, they will occupy it in the first place and then sell it at a high price or conduct experiments. This is the first choice of officials like them. As for protecting the people, it is all nonsense. So Phil Coulson didn't believe General Ross' words at all. But at this moment, the soldier who was in charge of observing the situation in Raccoon City suddenly shouted, "General, the zombies in Raccoon City are constantly dying, and their corpses have returned to their human appearance. Zombies are constantly absorbing their nutrients because of the virus, and the country is drying up. But these zombies are controlled by Jiang Bai and let the virus self-destruct. Nutrients will return to their own bodies, although because the brain has been destroyed by the virus, it cannot be revived. But at least they died as a human being when they died, rather than a zombie that people can't avoid. How is this possible?" Phil Coulson's first reaction when he heard this was that the other party was lying to him. Zombies turned back into humans? Could it be that General Ross really put the healing serum in Raccoon City? Would he be so kind? With a suspicious heart, Phil Coulson and Captain America all came to the screen and watched carefully. On the screen, the zombies in the entire Raccoon City were constantly falling down. And they did change from the previous state of zombies to human appearance. Maybe this can't change their death, but it can allow them to face death in the appearance of a human being. That's enough. Looking at this scene, Captain America, who was very rude to General Ross before, is now the first to bow his head to Ross and express his gratitude. "General Ross, please forgive my rudeness before, and I would like to extend my sincere apologies to you." Captain America lowered his head to General Ross and said gratefully, "Thank you for allowing them to face death with a human attitude at the last moment of their lives and get the respect they deserve." Although Captain America has a great reputation, he is quite confident in doing things and has personal heroic behaviors that are common to superheroes. But at the same time, Captain America is not arrogant, let alone conceited. Regarding the matter of Raccoon City, Captain America actually knew very well that he couldn't do it with his own ability alone. And General Ross was able to give up his benefits and put the healing serum on the entire Raccoon City. This not only saved the lives of millions of people in Raccoon City, but also gave the last kindness to those unfortunate enough to be infected. That's why Captain America is so grateful to General Ross. It's useless to say these things. Our army plans to maintain order in Raccoon City for the time being. The rescue and reconstruction troops will arrive in about 3 days. We will leave at that time. How about you?" Captain America, Dr. Banner and others glanced at each other and then nodded. "We're working with General Ross to do our last bit for this city." On the other side, Mutant Brotherhood, who just left Raccoon City, is here. Has the entire Raccoon City virus been resolved? Namor looked at this scene. A trace of surprise and shock flashed in his eyes. Only those who have experienced life and death fights with these zombies know how difficult these zombies are. And now these zombie viruses are all solved at the same time? That's why Namor and the others were so surprised when they saw this scene. Should someone find a treatment serum? Or the virus from their umbrella company originally had some problems and couldn't grow time to survive? Sabretooth looked at this scene, although he was also very surprised. But he didn't have such a big reaction as Namor. But it's no wonder, because Namor ordered the execution of all his clansmen after they were infected. If he had known that these viruses could be cured, Namor would definitely not have done so. That's why Namor had such a big reaction, because he felt that his previous decision might have been wrong. Sabretooth turned his head and glanced at the silent Namor, then said, "It's too late to think about this now. Why don't you think about other things first?" Namor, the Mutant Brotherhood still hopes that you can? Originally, when Sabretooth came over, Magneto had one more thing to say to him. If Namor does come, try to invite Namor back to Mutant Brotherhood. But before Sabretooth finished speaking, Na Hui directly interrupted him. "I'm not the same person as Magneto. His ideals are completely different from mine, so I won't interfere with the Mutant Brotherhood." As Namor spoke, he turned his head and walked towards the sea. "This time I'm only cooperating with you to avenge those people who were infected by the Umbrella Corporation. As for the matter between you and that mysterious organization, I will not interfere." Namor's position is always like this. Anyone who is against his people is his enemy. On the contrary, they are friends and companions. Watching Namor walk into the sea and disappear into the waves, Sabretooth turned to look at Raccoon City behind him. The Umbrella Company is completely finished. This city will most likely become the territory of the Foundation in the future. Is it right for us to continue to fight against the Foundation? Sabretooth probably also understood the power of the Foundation after going through the incident in Raccoon City. Although they didn't see the Foundation's attack, he still knew how terrifying the huge amounts of lizards were. Even Captain America and Wolverine couldn't beat them, but they were solved by Jiang Bai alone. Although he didn't even meet the Foundation and Jiang Bai when he came to Raccoon City this time, Sabretooth knew that this was an extremely powerful organization, and it was the organization they needed for the Mutant Brotherhood. Be careful with presents. At least they can't think that they can handle Jiang Bai casually like before. Big man, what do you think we should do with this mysterious Foundation in the future? Sabretooth asked Juggernaut casually, but Juggernaut didn't say a word. As an existence distorted by the power of Mephisto, Juggernaut's thinking and behavior have already been changed, and now he is a bomb that does not know when it will explode. No one can understand his thoughts, nor understand his behavior. So Sabretooth didn't intend that Juggernaut would answer himself, but just asked a casual question, then turned and left. I don't know who solved the virus in Raccoon City. I guess he will be worshipped as a national hero in the future.
The end?
Chapter 69. New York. Inside the Blue Ocean Building. Because of General Ross's heroic performance, the zombie virus in Raccoon City has been completely controlled at present. General Ross's actions have saved millions of people. It is reported that the citizens of Raccoon City are preparing to erect a statue for General Ross at this moment and thank General Ross for his kindness. On the TV, a beautiful reporter was interviewing General Ross, surrounded by crowds of welcome people, and there were support billboards everywhere, which said Thaddeus E. Ross. This is completely a posture to welcome international superstars. This is just what I should do as a soldier. Guarding and protecting the people is nothing more than my responsibility. General Ross on TV has a serious face, and his integrity is almost exactly the same as the hero in the public impression. This also made the nearby audience more excited and screamed. It's almost like a fanatic. Jiang Bai is lying on Ada Wong's lap at the moment, enjoying Natasha Romanoff's massage. The TV in front of him was playing something about General Ross saving the entire Raccoon City. Because of this incident, the current General Ross has become a national hero of the entire beautiful country and is worshipped and admired by countless people. Even those things that were unfavorable to General Ross before disappeared without a trace with these ensuing praises. This is an age of hero supremacy, because the Mutant Brotherhood and some other terrorist organizations exist. In fact, the world has always been unstable, and SHIELD and superhero were born against such a background. It is precisely because of this that whenever someone makes a contribution, there will be people who are considered heroes, especially those 813, people who can do things that ordinary people cannot do. These people are even more worshipped by everyone. Iron Man, Spider-Man, they are all like this. The same is true of General Ross now. Even he did better than Iron Man, because General Ross saved millions of people. So when the achievements of General Ross were publicized, and there were Captain America and SHIELD as proof, all the mistakes of General Ross in the past disappeared, and the only thing left was the recognition and praise of General Ross. Master, it seems that the plan is going well. King Ada watched the report on General Ross on TV, with a smile on his face. They didn't know that General Ross had become Jiang Bai's believer, but Jiang Bai also told them that General Ross was now cooperating with him. So King Ada knew when he saw the report that General Ross's ability to get these honors must have something to do with Jiang Bai. Since it's cooperation, it needs some sincerity, not to mention that a general who has lost power can't bring us enough benefits. Jiang Bai said indifferently. All of this was originally in his plan, and now this is just going according to his plan, so Jiang Bai doesn't care too much about it. That's true. Ada Wong nodded, and then continued, recently, the world seems to have changed suddenly. First, Tony admitted that he was Iron Man, and then there was a man with a hammer in the downtown area, fighting with a robot. Strange things happen more and more. Natasha Romanoff, who was giving Jiang Bai a massage, also chimed in. In the past, SHIELD would try to hide things like these as much as possible, but this time they didn't hide it, and even took the initiative to pick it up. Natasha Romanoff was also looking strange at the moment, because in her impression, in the past, SHIELD would try to avoid such things from being known to the public, because it is very likely to cause panic. But this time, instead of concealing it, SHIELD allowed the news to spread everywhere. This makes Natasha Romanoff a little confused about what SHIELD is trying to do. Maybe SHIELD has something up its sleeve? Others don't know what's going on with SHIELD, but Jiang Bai knows it all. Because of the appearance of Thor, SHIELD understands that there are not only human beings in this world, but also more terrifying existences. In order to avoid the reappearance of these existences, human beings have no power to resist. SHIELD released the blockade on these terrorist incidents to let the public know about them. This is also to ensure that the people can still maintain the most basic calmness in the greater crisis that may appear in the future. But this also means that one thing happened. The Avengers Alliance is about to appear. A new era is at hand. Jiang Bai said indifferently, then closed his eyes and continued to enjoy Natasha Romanoff's massage, feeling Ada Wong's plump and powerful thighs. The second daughter saw that Jiang Bai was obviously confident, so she stopped talking now. On the other hand, General Ross, who had finished the interview at this moment, welcomed an unexpected guest. Fury, Director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Director Nick Fury, there shouldn't be anything to say between our military and your SHIELD? General Ross took off his hat and threw it on the table, almost knocking down the coffee in front of Fury. But General Ross didn't care about it at all. Although Fury was a little dissatisfied, he didn't say anything. Instead, he quietly looked at General Ross and sat across from him with his back stretched out. The military and SHIELD are inherently antagonistic. Because of the emergence of SHIELD, many violent incidents were transferred from the military to the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. In addition, a large amount of funding has been assigned to SHIELD, which has greatly affected the power of the military in the invisible, and SHIELD has even begun to gradually replace the military. It is precisely because of this that people in the military have never been friendly to S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury also knew this, so he had already imagined that General Ross would have such an attitude before coming. General Ross, I'm here to discuss something important with you. Important things? Ross smiled contemptuously, and then mocked Fury. You SHIELD are Asgardians in the entire beautiful country. Is there anything that needs our military's help? Shouldn't you SHIELD solve it easily? SHIELD has always been domineering. Their military is only for cooperation every day, and even after the matter is over, they still don't know what they are doing. That's why General Ross immediately laughed at Fury's words. Fortunately, Fury's braised egghead is already dark, so even if his face is darker now, he can't tell. Otherwise, today, General Ross has to get to know what is the traditional art of the Far East and change his face. General Ross, I know that our SHIELD has some misunderstandings with your military, but today I am here for a big event, so can you please calm down and listen to me carefully? Fury suppressed the anger in his heart and discussed with General Ross as calmly as possible. I hope that he can have a good talk with himself about this matter, instead of holding a gun with a stick like this and pretending to quarrel within a few words. Okay, let's talk about it. After all, he is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. If he wants real power, it is estimated that there will be no two people with more power than him in the entire beautiful country. Therefore, General Ross's sarcasm was sarcasm, but he didn't really mean to fall out with Fury. You should know about the fact that Thor from Asgard appeared on Earth before, right? As soon as General Ross heard about this, he immediately became serious. The task Jiang Bai entrusted to General Ross was to let him inquire about supernatural powers. In the eyes of General Ross, this Thor must be a supernatural force. So after hearing Fury mention this matter, he naturally became serious at the moment. Because of the appearance of this Thor, I feel more and more that we human beings should not continue to be scattered like this. I want to gather all the strong ones and build a stronger and better organization to fight against possible future hazards. After hearing Fury's words, General Ross keenly realized that something was wrong. Is this organization still under the command of your SHIELD? And this organization should have nothing to do with me, right? If the organization Fury mentioned is still under the command of SHIELD, then to put it bluntly, SHIELD is preparing chips for its own growth. This is definitely not a good thing for the military. Besides, I'm just an ordinary person. These plans of SHIELD should have nothing to do with me, right? Don't General Ross know your status in the hearts of the people of the beautiful country? The current General Ross is more popular than many superheroes. You must know that you made a quick decision and saved the existence of millions of people in Raccoon City. Fury heard the words but did not answer General Ross's question. Instead, he complimented General Ross. Not only did this not make General Ross proud, but his expression became even more gloomy. What's the purpose of you SHIELD? Just tell me. General Ross immediately interrupted Fury's words. Dr. Banner, for this project, we need the help of Dr. Banner, so it is. When General Ross heard this, a look of contempt flashed in his eyes. He was still thinking about what SHIELD was trying to do when he came to find him. Now he finally understood. It was originally for Dr. Banner. Although Dr. Banner was helping SHIELD before, it was because of the request of S.H.I.E.L.D. General Ross also said that he needed the help of SHIELD because of the pressure from various aspects at the time, so he agreed. But it's just a matter of agreeing to Dr. Banner and SHIELD to go for a walk. After returning now, Dr. Banner is actually still under the control of General Ross and the others. After all, Dr. Banner's danger has not been lifted, and General Ross naturally cannot let Dr. Banner go free, and he also intends to try to control Dr. Banner, or try to create more Hulks that are easier to control. Dr. Banner, don't you know that Dr. Banner is not safe at all right now? He is simply a lunatic. If you let him leave and get angry, he will destroy the entire city. General Ross looked at Fury with a serious face. I know. Fury nodded, and then continued. But Dr. Banner is also a powerful combat force now. We must use all the power we can use. It has nothing to do with me. General Ross didn't care about these things Fury said at all, and directly retorted Fury back. Indeed, none of this mattered to General Ross. The kind that has nothing to do with it. The success is also due to their shield. If it fails, General Ross will be affected. Ross will now June finally took advantage of the incident in Raccoon City to eliminate his previous influence caused by the Hulk. If the Hulk is handed over to SHIELD this time, and the Hulk is making a fuss, General Ross will also be condemned. This is not a good thing for him. General Ross, I thought you were a righteous person and would support our SHIELD's decision, but now you. Fury seemed to still want to get General Ross to approve his decision from the perspective of righteousness, but he was interrupted by General Ross directly before he spoke halfway. I hope you can understand one thing. I will not use my future to help you SHIELD. What exactly do you want? Fury took a deep breath, then let out a long sigh. From the attitude of General Ross, he can already see it. General Ross is not the kind of superhero he thinks, someone who can nod and agree as long as he says it is for justice. In essence, he is still an official. What justice do you say to him? Why don't you go back and discuss how to make apple pie with Grandma Susan next door? This new organization of your SHIELD, I want surveillance rights. 5.8 General Ross has actually told Jiang Bai about these situations at this moment, and it is no longer General Ross who is negotiating with Fury here. But through General Ross, Jiang Bai is being deployed. Surveillance rights? Fury looked at General Ross suspiciously, wondering what General Ross meant. That's right, surveillance rights. General Ross nodded. I don't know what you SHIELD are trying to do now. I don't know what your new organization is. Purpose? As the person in charge of Dr. Banner, I must confirm your actions. That is to say, I should be aware of your actions in the future. That's all? Fury originally thought that General Ross would open his mouth and insert some of his own people inside S.H.I.E.L.D. But I didn't expect that he just wanted the right to know. That's why Fury still doesn't know how terrifying and powerful the organization he planned will be in the future. Otherwise, even if he was beaten to death, he probably wouldn't agree to Fury's request. But it's a pity that the current Fury doesn't know this at all. So he directly agreed to the request. Okay, then we have a happy cooperation. General Ross's eyes suddenly showed a look of joy when he heard the words, and then the two shook hands. This matter is considered to be settled. But in the end, Fury told General Ross another big event. General Ross, since we already have a cooperative relationship, let me tell you something big. What? Not long ago, Loki, the god of trickery, appeared and stole a treasure within our SHIELD, the Tesseract.
The end?
Chapter 70. Hearing this, Jiang Bai, who was lying down in the Blue Ocean building with a leisurely look, immediately regained his energy. Loki? In other words, it's time to fight in New York? In order to occupy the Earth, Loki became Zium's younger brother. He wanted to catch Ziyue and his subordinate Chitauri's power to complete this goal. But the purple sweet potato essence made Loki have to give him the Tesseract. So Loki took control of Hawkeye and stole the Tesseract. After that, Fury, the braised egghead, looked for helpers everywhere, assembled the original lineup of the Avengers Alliance, and New York and Loki fought with Chitauri, successfully guarding the peace of New York. This is probably the case. At the same time, it was also the beginning of the troubled American comics world. Because from then on, all kinds of monsters and monsters in the universe appeared one after another and began to attack the Earth, and the chaos was almost unseemly. But Jiang Bai never imagined that all this would happen so quickly. At first I thought that Fury would start acting ahead of schedule just because he was stimulated by an abnormal object, but I didn't expect that the plot had already started. While talking, Jiang Bai turned sideways and asked Natasha Romanoff to press his neck. Natasha Romanoff, the left side of my neck is a little stiff. Give me a little massage. This? Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong were a little dumbfounded. Shouldn't the script be like this? Didn't you just talk about Loki and the Battle of New York? Why does it suddenly look like it doesn't matter now? Although Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong have been with Jiang Bai for so long, they found that they really don't know Jiang Bai at all. Especially what Jiang Bai is doing now. They don't understand what Jiang Bai is thinking at all. What's wrong? Jiang Bai naturally also noticed the doubts of the two girls. Although he knew what they were wondering about, he still asked with great interest. This? The second daughter hesitated for a moment, and Natasha Romanoff stopped massaging Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai stretched out his hand and patted Natasha Romanoff's hand. Natasha Romanoff responded immediately and asked Jiang Bai while massaging him. Master, I heard you talking about Loki. What about the New York War? It sounds like a very important thing, but why are you not worried at all? Because it's not the time we should be worrying, Jiang Bai said indifferently. And what he said was true. If it was just the New York War, then Jiang Bai really didn't need to worry. Anyway, it can be resolved in the end. Jiang Bai only needs to take action to contain Chitauri and the like when the matter is almost over. As for saying more, he doesn't need to care at all. However, considering that New York will experience many disasters in the future, Jiang Bai thought of one thing. System, place the strong containment room I got in the New York branch. Strong containment is the reward Jiang Bai received after containing 049. One with the same ability as Foundation headquarters can suppress the power of abnormal objects, making it difficult for these abnormal objects to resist containment. Because Jiang Bai considered that there might be many battles with local containment in New York in the future, these guys are powerful, and if they don't use this powerful containment room, they might not be able to subdue them. Because Jiang Bai is also planning to contain some local containment objects. And since it is contained, Jiang Bai doesn't want these guys to escape from prison, so an unbreakable cell is a must. Didn't the strong containment room we got before come in handy? Successfully placed. These are all done in the mind, almost just a momentary thing. After finishing these, Jiang Bai said directly to the second daughter, I'll sleep for a while. What's the matter with you? Since returning from Raccoon City, the second daughter has actually confessed her identity to Jiang Bai. And the result is naturally no surprise. Jiang Bai already knew their situation like the back of his hand. Therefore, there was not much criticism for the second daughter, not even a word of reprimand. Instead, they pointed out the identity of the second daughter, and then asked them to go through the entry procedures for them and formally join the Foundation. Even though the second daughter had already guessed that she might be exposed, she never thought that she would be exposed so thoroughly. Jiang Bai knew exactly what organization he belonged to, and when he had been in contact with his organization. In other words, everything I did before was actually in Jiang Bai's eyes. It's just that Jiang Bai never exposed them. In fact, when they first learned about this, the second daughter was quite scared. After all, thinking about it this way, everything he and others did before was actually seen by Jiang Bai. If Jiang Bai really wanted to do something to them at that time, he could have killed them at any time. But after thinking about it, since Jiang Bai didn't kill them at that time, it meant that Jiang Bai had acquiesced in all of this, which made them relax immediately, but what followed was their complete admiration for Jiang Bai. Because of the time in Raccoon City, they were full of approval for Jiang Bai, but now they naturally admired Jiang Bai even more. This has led to the fact that the relationship between Jiang Bai and them seems to be closer now. As for how close? Anyway, we played cards together last night. Jiang Bai is pretty laid back, but Fury on the other side is in trouble now, looking for help all over the world. Immediately after getting the approval of General Ross, or Jiang Bai, Dr. Banner, he went to Stark Industries. Iron Man is definitely the most famous superhero at present. Because most superheroes are choosing to hide their identities, worrying that revealing their identities will bring unnecessary trouble to themselves. However, Iron Man is different, as a rich second-generation Zhongyang is used to. After developing the Iron Man battle armor and becoming Iron Man, he did not hide his identity, but admitted his identity in front of people all over the world. Therefore, he has become the most famous and most conspicuous existence among all the current superheroes. Since it is necessary to gather all the combat power that can be gathered, then this target Fury will naturally not be let go. Dang even brought Dr. Banner and Captain America to Stark Industries, intending to find Iron Man. In fact, because of the appearance of Jiang Bai, the plot of the entire Avengers Alliance still has some changes. For example, the Hulk, such as Captain America and so on. That's why Jiang Bai didn't know that the plot of the Avengers Alliance had started, because the laboratory building didn't collapse. Originally, after Loki came and took away the Tesseract, the building of the laboratory would collapse, and then Fury would start looking for helpers to form the Avengers Alliance. Now that the laboratory building has not collapsed, Loki still took the Tesseract. So the laboratory building didn't collapse. So Jiang Bai naturally didn't notice that the plot of the Avengers Alliance had already started. It's just that these are not important to Jiang Bai. Anyway, they will be contained in the end. Fury came to Stark Industry with Captain America and Dr. Banner, and met Tony soon after explaining his purpose. It's just that Tony doesn't seem to be too welcoming to Captain America. You are Captain America? I really didn't expect that an old antique can still work. Tony was taunting Captain America as soon as he opened his mouth, but it made sense. For the pushy Tony, Captain America's reputation is too big, even to the point where it makes Tony feel uncomfortable. In Tony's opinion, being so eye-catching, he should be the one who gets everyone's attention, not this old antique from the last century. I don't hate young people who like to show off, but you are a little too arrogant. Captain America glanced at Tony, then spoke in a flat tone. In fact, from the moment he met Tony, Captain America could tell that Tony was the kind of young man who liked to show off and show off. Just like the beautiful country here is completely different from the beautiful country in my memory, it is all fresh and different. But it doesn't mean that there is nothing Captain America can't accept. This is still the country he decided to use everything to protect, and that's enough. Really? Tony looked at Captain America with a smirk on his face. But I actually don't like you. It's up to you anyway. In my eyes, you are just an ignorant child, and you should be more tolerant. Captain America said indifferently, not paying attention to Tony's provocation at all. In fact, just like what he said himself, in his eyes, Tony is just a child who is not very sensible, who is used to the world of flamboyance and willful behavior. So Captain America is naturally more tolerant towards Tony, but perhaps it can also be seen as contempt for Tony from another perspective. At least Tony thought so. Oh, my God, this is the first time I've met such an infuriating antique like you. You really should wash your rusty brain with strong acid. Tony became a little annoyed immediately after hearing Captain America's seemingly tolerant, but in fact confrontational words. But before he could say anything more, Fury immediately stopped the two of them. Hey, we still have important things to do now. Please calm down a little bit. Fury stood up with a headache and separated the two. Important thing? What do you want to do when you come to me? After Tony heard Fury's words, doubts flashed in his eyes. In fact, the reason why he was willing to meet Fury and the others was because he detected a different energy fluctuation when debugging the new weapon system. Tony guessed that something was wrong with New York, so he only met Ray when Fury came looking for him. One of our SHIELD treasures has been stolen. So you came here just to let me help you catch the thief? Tony yelled immediately when he heard this, because in his opinion, it should be very important for Fury to find him. But now when I open my mouth, I tell myself that their SHIELD treasure has been stolen? What's the meaning? Suspect that you have stolen the treasure? Or do you want to help catch the thief yourself? But these two are obviously not what you want to do, right? If you want to find someone to catch a thief, please go out and turn left, go straight for 2 kilometers, and you will see a police station. Definitely if you can't find the way, I can ask JRVIS to draw a map for you. Tony said that he really planned to ask JRVIS to draw a map for Fury and the others. Tony, I said, can you listen to me? At this moment, Fury's marinated egghead was already bulging with blue veins. If it wasn't for the fact that he still needed Tony's help, he probably would have given Tony a direct shot by now. Then tell me quickly, I'm very busy right now. Tony looked at Fury nonchalantly and said displeasedly, if Iron Man's time is precious, you are wasting his time fighting crime. Everyone has a dream of being a hero, especially in the purgatory world of American comics. Tony is no exception. He even yearns to be a hero more than the average person. It's just the current hero life, or the so-called Iron Man identity. For him, it is more of an honor, like something to brag about with others. This half-baked behavior made Captain America frown. But considering the need to rely on the power of this person in front of him in the future, Captain America didn't say much at the moment. Alas. Seeing Tony without a proper shape, Fury also let out a long sigh, and then said, the person who stole the Tesseract is the god in Norse mythology, one of the tricks god Loki, and I presume aliens are about to attack Earth. What? Although Tony had imagined many possibilities, it was the only one that he didn't expect Fury to use this kind of nonsense to deceive himself. Fury, do you see what idiot I am? Loki, the god of trickery? Aliens attacking Earth? Do you know what the hell you're talking about? Tony questioned Fury, but Fury didn't answer, just looked at Tony quietly. Looking at Tony with those straight eyes, A trace of uneasiness and doubt gradually appeared. Hey, what you're not saying is true, are you? Are there really gods and aliens? Tony asked tentatively, but in fact he was already half convinced at the moment. Fury wasn't one to crack jokes, especially not around this time. It's true. Fury nodded. Tony, now we need your assistance. A war has begun. We must. Awesome. Originally, Fury had prepared a lot of arguments, trying to convince Tony. But he didn't expect that Tony clapped his hands suddenly at this moment and said to Fury excitedly, "Isn't it just for this time that I became a hero? To save the world from aliens, saving the world is what a hero should do." What? Fury, Captain America, and even Dr. Banner all looked at Tony suspiciously. Maybe this is the first time they have seen someone who can be so happy under such circumstances. But this also let Fury breathe a sigh of relief, which shows that the other party is willing to help them. So Tony, what's your answer? Happy to help, Doctor. Excited, Tony even made a royal salute to Fury. Captain America, who was watching, couldn't help saying, "I really don't know. Who is the old antique? You old B asterisk 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 D." Just when Tony was about to taunt Captain America, he suddenly felt a familiar wave of energy. That thief you speak of, Loki, the god of intrigue. I seem to have found him.
The end?
Chapter 71. During a high-class reception, the upper-class people from the local area and even the entire beautiful country, as long as they are free, almost all gather here. They chatted and communicated with each other, and countless information and plans were passed on in this reception. This is the real purpose of the reception, to give these upper-level figures a chance to inform each other, expand their contacts, and make plans. Often some plans are only thought of after meeting new friends. Everyone was happy with the reception, including Loki. It was a beautiful reception. I am very satisfied. Just when everyone was chatting happily, suddenly an unharmonious voice came over. Everyone turned their attention to this person. This is a somewhat thin man, wearing a black suit, walking towards them slowly. I have to say that he looks very elegant and walks gracefully. Just like an excellent actor, very decent. And he is Loki, the god of trickery in Asgard. But everyone present didn't like him very much, because they didn't know him. Hey, we didn't invite this gentleman, did we? The host of the reception also stood up at this time, looking at Loki with displeasure. Several security guards immediately stepped forward and stopped Loki. "Sir, I'm sorry we don't welcome you here, those without invitations." Before the security guard could finish his sentence, Loki immediately grabbed him and threw him out. A person weighing 100 or 200 caddies, like a rag doll, flew more than 10 meters away and then fell heavily to the ground. Just this strength alone is beyond the reach of human beings. Mutant? Suddenly there was an exclamation in the venue. Everyone regards Loki as a mutant, but also regards Loki as a terrorist. Because the largest terrorist organization in the whole beautiful country is Magneto's Mutant Brotherhood. Even the current mainstream society believes that the Mutant Brotherhood will destroy this world. Therefore, when they heard the word mutant, they almost subconsciously thought that Loki was the person sent by the Mutant Brotherhood to kill them. After all, these big shots are always the ones who resist mutant the most. So almost all turned around immediately, wanting to escape from here. The same goes for the host of the reception, but it didn't work because he was the target of this trip. Loki pressed the host of the reception on the table, then took out a device and inserted it into the eye king of the other party. And at the moment, in a vault, Hawkeye, who was controlled by Loki, immediately used the pupil data scanned by Loki to open a safe and get a piece of silver metal from it. That's the goal of Loki's trip, by the element. A force that can be used to stabilize the Tesseract, making the Tesseract more stable and allowing the Tesseract to maintain the portal for a long time. Loki intends to use this thing to stabilize the Tesseract, create a portal that can exist for a long time, and then let Chitauri's army enter the Earth to help him occupy the Earth. At this moment, Loki, who had obtained the element, came outside the reception, where the guests from the previous reception gathered here, looking at Loki in horror. Now Loki has put on his costume as the god of tricks, a dark yellow battle armor. Kneel down. Using his own strength, Loki ordered these people to kneel down, while he himself walked among these people. Looking at these people kneeling in front of him, Loki showed a happy expression on his face. Why does he want to take over Earth? Why does he want to be king of Asgard? Isn't it because of this? The power over everyone, the position of dominating everything. These are what Loki wants, and these make Loki feel an indescribable sense of accomplishment. You madman! However, At this moment, an old man suddenly yelled at Lu Ji. "You are a lunatic. Just a lunatic." Huh. Loki looked at the old man and listened to his constant abuse, although he still had a smile on his face. But this smile was full of murderous intent, looking for death. The psychic scepter in Loki's hand raised his hand and sent a ray of light at the old man. He wanted to kill this old guy who dared to challenge his majesty. But just when the light was about to hit the old man, a shield appeared in front of the old man, blocking all attacks. And behind this shield is a man who symbolizes the past glory and glory of the beautiful country. Loki, he's just telling the truth, you lunatic. Captain America shielded the old man and the others behind him and charged directly at Loki. But facing Captain America's attack, Loki showed no concern. He just picked up the psychic scepter in his hand, swung his backhand, and knocked Captain America into the air. "Mortal, you are no match for God." Loki looked at Captain America very proudly. His face was full of disdain for Captain America. "Really? In my opinion, you are just a stronger human being." A very disdainful voice came immediately, followed by a laser that directly knocked Loki out. Tony, wearing Mark's armor, fell from the sky and surrounded the roadbed with Captain America. "Looks like today is not my lucky day." Facing the pincer attack from Captain America and Tony, Loki simply chose to raise his hand and surrender without any hesitation. The two were puzzled looking at Loki, who was so straightforward, but since the other party should surrender, it seems that there is no need to care too much. Be honest. Tony wanted to step forward and grab Loki and take him away, but the next moment, a hammer suddenly appeared in front of them. No, the damn guy. Loki knew who was there the moment he saw the hammer. Dang even showed an irritable look, and with a flash of thunder, Thor appeared in front of them. Thor. Captain America and Tony also learned about Thor from Fury's mouth, so they were not too surprised when they saw Thor. "You came to rescue him?" Captain America looked at Thor and immediately questioned him. Although the relationship between these two people seems to be very bad in the myth, they are from the same place after all, and they can be regarded as fellow villagers. So it's no surprise that Thor would come out to rescue Loki, Captain America, and Tony. King of Asgard, Odin is going to bring Loki back to Asgard for trial. Get out of the way. Thor is a tough guy, and in this case, if it is easy to say, Captain America and Tony will understand that he is not an enemy. But Thor had to hold his big hammer, and his whole body was flashing with lightning. A set of Captain America and the others dare to say half a word, and they will kill Captain America with a hammer. Anyone who saw this situation would probably think Thor was here to make trouble. What's more, Captain America and Tony are not so good-tempered, especially after hearing Thor's words. Tony immediately asked angrily, "Asgard, can he control the earth?" "What do you mean?" Thor looked at Tony indifferently, with obvious displeasure and coldness on his face. "That's what I mean." Tony didn't want to talk nonsense anymore. He just raised his hand and a laser shot Thor flew out. Then Captain America chased after him with the shield. The three fought together, and at this time, there was no one watching over Loki, so it was a great opportunity for Loki to escape. But Loki didn't run away immediately. Instead, he watched the battle between the three with great interest. Especially when seeing Thor being beaten, he was even more excited. That's right. That's it. I've been upset with this idiot for a long time, so shoot him to death. The shot just now should have been aimed at his head. Hurry up and kill this idiot. Loki doesn't like Thor, especially Loki now. His mind is how to kill Thor. Only in this way can he inherit Asgard and become the king of Asgard. That's why Loki was extra excited when he saw Thor being besieged. Although it was very uncomfortable to hear Loki booing aside, the two opponents in front of him were indeed not weak. Facing the siege of the two, Thor could only ignore Loki's chattering noise for the time being and concentrate on the battle in front of him. Boom! Thor hit Captain America's shield with a backhand hammer, and Captain America flew upside down, but he didn't suffer any damage. Since the last battle in Raccoon City, Captain America asked SHIELD to strengthen his shield a second time. The current shield can resist all forces and will not cause any burden to himself. That is to say, there will be no situation like the last time when he faced 682. Although the shield blocked it, Captain America's own body couldn't bear the force and was injured. After Captain America was knocked into the air, Thor's whole body flashed. The real person rushed to Tony like a bolt of lightning. Tony rushed to Thor in front of him, raised his hands and wanted to use the arc blaster to knock Thor out, but Thor was faster than Tony. The big hand grabbed Thor's head and then slammed it down, smashing Thor directly into the ground. The hard concrete floor was directly cracked by Thor's blow, and a large pit in the shape of a human was formed. Thor looked at Tony in front of him, raised Mjolnir in his hand, and wanted to kill Thor with a hammer. But as soon as he raised the hammer, Captain America's shield flew over like flying darts and directly knocked Thor out. The rescued Tony returned to Captain America's side, and then began to check the damage of his armor. Damn it, this guy has caused 30% damage with just one blow. If the hammer hit just now, it is estimated that the damage would be at least 60%. Is this guy Banner? He has so much strength? Looking at the damage to his armor, Thor couldn't help complaining. But Captain America on the side became a little annoyed. Shut up. It's still fighting. Can't you be quiet? You old antique. Don't you have no idea what humor is? As soon as Tony heard that Captain America was lecturing him, he couldn't help but sneered at Captain America. But Captain America didn't pay attention to Tony, but raised his hand to catch the shield that he flew back, and then looked at Thor in front of him, who was still unharmed, with a serious face. After all, it is the legendary Nordic Thor. Thor faced the siege of the two superheroes Captain America and Tony, but he was unscathed, and even came to suppress the natives. It is estimated that if the fight continues, Thor should completely defeat the two. But Thor didn't do that. In Norse mythology, Thor is Thor, who is also the god of war. And in fact, Thor is indeed a warlike person. But under normal circumstances, a warlike person will respect the strong. Thor is no exception. The battle with Tony and Captain America just now made Thor recognize the strength of the two. I just want to bring back Loki and the Tesseract. This is the order of the King of Asgard. Why do you want to stop me? I don't care about Asgard, but now that Loki has stolen our stuff and is planning something, we have to bring him back for interrogation. Captain America immediately stood up and stared at Thor seriously. Facing Captain America's obstruction, Thor was silent for a moment, and then suddenly said, I understand. I will be with you, good Zhao. Accepted your mortal's request in Loki. After the trial, I will take him back to Asgard after this. Captain America and Tony looked at each other, as if neither of them thought that the other party would suddenly become so easy to talk to. But this means that the strength of Captain America and Tony has been recognized by Thor. If facing an opponent with insufficient strength, perhaps Thor would have killed the opponent directly, and then left with Loki up. After all, this is an existence that can be called the god of war, and the hands of the god of war are not covered with blood? But since Thor is willing to do this, it is naturally a good thing. No problem. If you had said that earlier, we might not have had to fight. Captain America immediately nodded in agreement with Thor's proposal. However, Loki on the side sneered, if he didn't think you were strong enough, he might have killed you just now. Both Captain America and Tony ignored Loki's words, but stepped forward to put special handcuffs on Loki, and then took Thor and Loki to the escort plane. Since Natasha Romanoff is still with Jiang Bai, the task of flying the plane fell to Phil Coulson. Facing the extra Thor, Phil Coulson didn't say much, but just drove the plane to the carrier in the sky. However, when they just arrived in the sky above New York, countless feathers suddenly fell from the sky. These feathers were extremely white and looked like the feathers of some kind of bird. Same hair. Such a weird scene immediately aroused Tony's vigilance. Tony immediately reached out and tapped his helmet. The high-definition long-sighted radar was activated, and soon locked the root of these feathers. But when he saw the root of these feathers, Tony and I couldn't help showing a look of horror. Hey, guys, I think I saw Angel.
The end?
Chapter 72. Blue Ocean Building. Jiang Bai is currently discussing with Dr. Reiner about the new anomalous objects that have appeared over New York. President, we have almost done the investigation of this brand new anomaly. We are currently naming him Abnormality 469, codenamed Wani Angel. The moment Jiang Bai heard the codename, he immediately went through the Foundation files he knew in his mind. Information on 469 was quickly found. 469, codenamed Wani Angel, looks like a mass of wings with huge amounts of wings wrapped in a humanoid creature that feeds on sound waves and absorbs power from sound waves to promote the growth of Yulong. Any people or animals that get too close to or touch the surface of this creature will be quickly wrapped and pulled inside by the outstretched wings. Although the feathers are very soft, the tip of each hair is extremely sharp, and it will quickly pierce the clothing and enter the flesh, releases a neurotoxin that immediately stimulates pain receptors in the body and stimulates other parts of the body at the same time to ensure that the victim does not die too soon, causing the victim to scream loudly, further feeding SCP. 469 until the victim dies of shock. Faced with the information Jiang Bai said, Dr. Reiner nodded immediately. The president is indeed worthy of being the president. The understanding of these abnormal objects is far beyond what we can imagine. He actually learned the detailed information of 469 so quickly. King Ada and Natasha Romanoff also looked at Jiang Bai with doubts at the moment. Why do I always feel that you don't need this person's research at all? You only need to know at a glance. Not necessarily. Maybe he still needs to know what the other party's serial number is? King Ada joked to Natasha Romanoff, but Natasha Romanoff didn't say much about it. It's all just a joke. Jiang Bai didn't answer the two directly, but set his sights on Dr. Reiner. Make a containment plan for 469 as soon as possible. Jiang Bai didn't really take care of everything and took all the troubles on himself, but asked Dr. Reiner to work out a containment plan for 469 as soon as possible. As for Jiang Bai, he intends to use the old compass to see how many abnormal objects have come to New York. Just a few days after you came back, a new abnormal object appeared in New York. 203 Jiang Bai shook his head helplessly, then turned and went back to his room. Because the influence of the old compass is too powerful, if it is not by my side, it is very likely that it will be polluted by the restrained terror in the old prison. When the time comes, it will go crazy, or it will be directly twisted into a monster. That's why Jiang Bai has to go back to his room and use the old compass. Since many big events are bound to happen in New York in the future, Jiang Bai plans to settle in New York and buy a big mansion. It's just that under normal circumstances, Jiang Bai would come to this mansion, but he would be in the New York branch of the Blue Ocean building. Because there are enough security and scientific research personnel there, and a large number of personnel are on call at any time, obeying Jiang Bai's orders. And it can discover and lock the abnormal objects that appear in New York at the first time. But because of this, Jiang Bai worried that using the old compass in the branch would bring unknown threats to those scientific research talents, so he returned to this mansion. After all, in the stories of the restraint system, the smarter a person is, the easier it is to come into contact with the horror of the restraint system and then be distorted and destroyed in this horror. Especially scientific researchers and scholars are almost the most dangerous occupations in the Ku department. After returning to his mansion, Jiang Bai immediately took out the old compass. It clearly shows the traces of two abnormal objects, that is to say, two more abnormal objects have come in New York now. Two? And this anomaly should? Looking at these two abnormal objects, Jiang Bai couldn't help but frown. He actually knew both of these two abnormalities, and one of them was Wani Angel, but the other one is a bit weird. Why did Shueqi come here? Isn't he in the Middle East? There are two abnormal objects that appeared in New York this time. One is Wani Angel, and the other is the first time Jiang Bai planned to contain it, but he couldn't find it. I've never heard of it. The blood pool can walk by itself? Jiang Bai didn't remember that the blood pool was movable. At least in the Foundation's files, there was no such thing happening. Is it because the blood pool has changed, Seg, after coming to this world? Jiang Bai also couldn't tell the specific reason why such a thing that didn't correspond to the original information happened. Therefore, it can only be regarded as some changes have taken place after the blood pool came to this world. After all, this world is not simple. Existences such as the five great gods are likely to be at the highest level of divinity in the Foundation's archives. So some changes in the blood pool are not incomprehensible. 354 blood pools, compared to the target during the first containment mission. It's just that Juehu didn't find 354, but found 312 atmospheric jellyfish. So the target was changed from the blood pool to the atmospheric jellyfish. Since then, apart from guarding the headquarters, the nine-tailed fox has another mission to find the blood pool, but there has been no progress. Originally, Jiang Bai thought that the blood pool was hidden very secretly, but he didn't expect that this guy could change places by himself, and this time he directly hit him with a gun. Although Jiang Bai's strength is much stronger now than at that time, he still doesn't feel that he can contain the blood pool easily. Because unlike ordinary abnormal objects, the blood pool is an existence that can continuously create abnormal objects. Just like a worm nest, many powerful abnormal objects will be born from the blood pool. In fact, there are many similar anomalies in the records of the Foundation, such as the anomaly 2191 Vampire Factory is one of them. This kind of abnormal objects has a very important feature, that is, they cannot move, but they can use the monsters they create to hunt. Generally speaking, for such abnormal objects, the biggest trouble in containing them is the monsters they create. But now it is not just a monster. The blood pool may move by itself, which makes Jiang Bai start to have a headache on how to contain this abnormal object. The current blood pool obviously has some other characteristics in it, so the best way to contain it is to have an all-round mobile task force that can fight no matter what. The Foundation's mobile task force generally follows a pattern. That is what kind of abnormal objects send what kind of mobile task force. So far, Jiang Bai has basically done this when facing abnormal objects. But now there is a problem. The characteristics of the blood pool are not easy to identify what kind of mobile task force should be sent there. Now there is another problem. The blood pool may move by itself, so the average mobile task force may not be able to contain the blood pool. Your best bet is to send in a reality bender or a thaumaturge, such as the heel of Achilles and the spear of Hecate. These two mobile task forces are good choices, and Jiang Bai originally planned to do so. But after seeing his empty courtyard, Jiang Bai suddenly had a new idea. Immediately, Jiang Bai opened the exchange interface and found what he wanted. Exchange Red Right-Hand Squad. Using a SAN value of 2,000, successfully exchanged for 50 Red Right-Hand teams. 2,000 SAN value. For Jiang Bai, who is saving money and wants to exchange for 343, this is definitely a painful consumption. But Jiang Bai has no choice, because it must be consumed. And it's absolutely worth it. Red Right-Hand Mobile Task Force, 05's Praetorian Guard. Under the original rules of the Foundation, there will never be such an existence as the President. The operation of the entire Foundation is in charge of a multi-person council named 05. As the highest level of the entire Foundation, the 05 Council has an absolutely loyal mobile task force by their side to be responsible for their security. That is the Red Right Hand, known as the Imperial Guard. The Red Right Hand is a true all-round mobile task force. They have reality benders, thaumaturgists, proficient in cold weapons and hot weapons, and can use various methods such as memory erasure. Their loyalty is recognized by all. But Red Right Hand also betrayed the Foundation, but they never betrayed 05. Because under their 05 orders, some Red Right Hands named Splitters stole a large amount of powerful abnormal objects, then betrayed the Foundation, and established a new organization called Chaos Splitters. And the leader of this organization has always been 05, and there has never been an exception. They betrayed, but not completely. Treat your own 05. Red Right Hand is absolutely unquestionable loyalty, and the Red Right Hand is an almost omnipotent mobile task force. Except for a few extreme mobile task forces, almost most of the mobile task force's abilities they will. That's why Jiang Bai redeemed them. Now this mansion in Jiang Bai still lacks some security personnel. But if it's just an ordinary security guard, it's no different for Jiang Bai. And in this regard, and when it comes to protecting the Red Right Hand, it is definitely the best choice. So in the end, Jiang Bai decided to exchange the Red Right Hand. Soon after Jiang Bai's SAN value balance was deducted by 2,000, 50 Red Right Hands immediately appeared in front of Jiang Bai. Red Right Hand Team, report to the President. The captain of the Red Right Hand Team took a step forward and said to Jiang Bai in a serious voice. The Red Right Hand Squad has 50 members. 10 Level 2 Reality Benders, 1 Level 3 Reality Bender, 10 B-Level Thaumaturges, 1 A-Level Thaumaturgy, 18 Weapon Users, and 10 Backup Support Personnel. There are Level 3 Reality Benders and Level Thaumatologists. Now Jiang Bai finally understands why the Red Right Hands of these 50 people are so expensive. Estimated that Level 3 Reality Benders and a Level Thaumaturges accounted for half of it. Level 3 Reality Benders are almost the limit that the Foundation can tolerate. The strength of Level 3 Reality Benders has already touched the concept of omnipotence. They can do almost what most ordinary people can think of according to their own ideas, such as making someone disappear, creating huge amounts of monsters out of thin air, and even creating a miniature black hole. Even Dr. Clef, one of the 4 Doctors of Apocalypse, is only a Level 3 Reality Bender. Besides, thaumaturgists are much simpler, because they are magicians. It is just the magic after summarizing and sorting through the scientific system. This kind of magic is simpler and more direct than those complex and troublesome magics that have been handed down from ancient times. So this kind of magic is also called thaumaturgy. A-level thaumaturges are weaker than Level 3 Reality Benders, but they are also very limited. However, thaumaturges will not be restricted. Any organization will accept thaumaturges, but not all organizations will accept reality benders, especially reality benders above Level 3. Composer. They have only one end in the universe of the Foundation, and that is to be imprisoned by the Pilgrim Agreement forever. Besides, thaumaturgists are learned magic, while reality benders are almost always born. All thaumaturges can control their own power, but reality benders are hard to say, especially reality benders of Level 4 and above. As long as they are willing, they may send a city, or even a country, will disappear completely, and all human beings will not remember their existence. This is the danger of reality benders, and why the Foundation rarely allows reality benders of Level 4 and above to exist. At present, you are responsible for the security of this house. This is my residence. In addition, I should let you go to contain some abnormal objects in the near future. After Jiang Bai had a general understanding of the strength of the Red Right Hand, he arranged for them. Wait for the president's order at any time. As stated in the file, the Red Right Hand's loyalty to the target of allegiance is absolute. Immediately after receiving Jiang Bai's order, they went to enforce martial law around the house, and Jiang was able to notice that the thaumaturgy had begun to place the enchantment. Reality benders, on the other hand, are more direct. They directly distorted the existence of this house. At this moment, in the perception of the whole New York, this house no longer exists. And this is just the simplest use of power by thaumaturges and reality benders. Although the blood pool hasn't appeared yet, Wani Angel seems to be hunting now. Jiang Bai looked up at the sky, and his eyes seemed to be able to see through the thick clouds to see the battle between City Wing Angel and Thor at this moment. Damn, what the hell is this? It is unknown how many times Thor has attacked the Wani Angel with Mjolnir in his hand, but every time he attacks, he will be blocked by the wings of the Wani Angel. Even if a few wings can be destroyed, more wings will grow in the next moment. These wings are like endless, and cannot be completely destroyed at all. Just when Thor was having a headache and didn't know how to deal with it, a sudden startled breath caught his attention. Thor, Loki is gone.
The end?
Chapter 73. Upon hearing this, Thor immediately turned his head to look towards the plane, only to see 7 or 8 Loki making faces at him, obviously trying to annoy him on purpose. But Thor can't tell which of these Loki is real and who is fake. However, with such a dazed effort, Loki has already fallen down the clouds and disappeared before Thor's eyes. Damn it! Seeing Loki disappearing in front of his eyes, Thor couldn't help roaring, and then turned his head to look at Wani Angel behind him. What the hell is this? Thor couldn't figure it out. What the hell was this thing? How could they suddenly appear on their plane and attack them in front of them? If it wasn't for this shit, they would have delivered Loki to SHIELD Sky Carrier by now. Thor, Tony, you two continue to deal with this thing. I'll go after Loki. Captain America and Phil Coulson have also equipped their parachutes at this moment. After telling Thor and Tony, they jumped off the plane that had been destroyed by Wani Angel, intending to catch up with Rocky. However, they don't know that Wani Angel's food is sound, so they are most sensitive to sound. Therefore, the shout of Captain America just now attracted Wani Angel's attention. Wani Angel immediately flapped his wings and quickly approached Captain America and the others. Captain America, watch out. Looking at the 10,000 Wings Angel who was approaching Captain America and the others, Tony raised his hand and hit 10,000 Wings Angel's feathers. Wani Angel was knocked sideways by Tony's attack, so he didn't catch Captain America, but he caught Phil Coulson on the side. At this moment, the layer upon layer of feathers, like cabbage, looked like the tentacles of an octopus, firmly absorbing Phil Coulson, and then a huge force came, forcibly pulling Phil Coulson into the feather's minister. The sharp front end of the feather easily cut through Phil Coulson's clothes, and the strong neurotoxin was released from the feather, and soon entered Phil Coulson's body. What? Pain. It was as if there was a flame flowing in his body. The excruciating pain that stimulated the pain to the extreme made Phil Coulson really want to die immediately. But what Wani Angel injected into his body was not only poison, but also substances necessary to maintain Phil Coulson's life. These substances were protecting Phil Coulson's survival, so that Phil Coulson would not really die because of the venom and severe pain. But at the same time, it also made Phil Coulson feel the most extreme pain in this world all the time. This kind of pain is far more terrifying than all the criminal laws in the world. It constantly stimulated Phil Coulson and made his nerves almost collapse. A heart-piercing cry of pain came from Phil Coulson's mouth. The sound kept ringing at a height above 10,000 meters, and even powerful men like Tony and Thor couldn't help their scalps tingling when they heard Phil Coulson's crying. Phil Coulson. Captain America's eyes turned red when he heard Phil Coulson's painful cry, wishing he could rush up and tear Wani Angel to pieces. But he can't fly, so he can't do it at all, and can only listen to Phil Coulson screaming during the process. Even though he was already trembling with anger, there was nothing he could do. Thor and Tony also got angry at this time. With them here, Phil Coulson was killed by this monster. And this monster didn't kill Phil Coulson immediately, but tortured him constantly. This is completely provocative to them, so Thor and Tony opened fire immediately. All kinds of attacks constantly hit Wani Angel. All of a sudden, thunder and lightning flashed across the entire sky, and various explosion gods continued to sound. At this moment, Captain America has also successfully landed, but he didn't see Loki. Apparently Loki had already run away when they were held back by 10,000 Wings Angel just now. Fact. Captain America looked at the empty surroundings, and when he thought of Phil Coulson being killed by that mysterious monster, a ball of anger was burning in his heart. Boom! Captain America punched heavily on the tree next to him, and a big tree surrounded by 3 people was directly blown away by Captain America's punch. But it is useless after all. Loki is gone, Phil Coulson is dead, and they've lost a lot this time. Captain America, where's Loki? When Captain America was going crazy with anger, Thor and Tony also came to Captain America and asked him about the situation. Phil Coulson. Although when seeing only Thor and Tony, Captain America probably understood that Phil Coulson was dead. But after all, he didn't see it with his own eyes, so Captain America still had a little fantasy in his heart. But this last fantasy was completely broken with the silence of the two. The 3 of them were speechless for a while, and it took an unknown amount of time for Thor to ask, "Where's Loki?" "He won't." Ran. Captain America lowered his head helplessly, unwillingness and anger written all over his face. Since he woke up, it seemed that all his actions were failing, and none of them were truly successful. This made Captain America very uncomfortable at the moment, as if a stone was blocked in his heart. Loss and anger, helplessness and bewilderment made Captain America realize for the first time that this is indeed no longer the era when he was able to turn the tide and save everything. What about the monster? At least we should have revenge for Phil Coulson too? Originally, Captain America still thought about Thor and Tony. At least they should have killed Feng Shukai. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come to look for him. But now seeing them like this, an ominous premonition suddenly flooded into Captain America's heart. The monster is gone. Tony opened his helmet and looked at Captain America with a face of shame. After that monster captured Phil Coulson, he was not interested in continuing to fight with us, but took Phil Coulson directly into the sky. "We should worry about you if there is no situation. There will be no pursuit." "What did you say?" When Captain America heard this, he even wanted to go up and beat Tony up, because now his heart is really wide, and all kinds of things are mixed together, which makes Captain America almost go crazy. So now he desperately needs someone to vent to, and Tony's words are undoubtedly the target of Captain America. Fortunately, Captain America did not completely lose his mind. As a veteran, a superhero who has saved the world many times, Captain America still suppressed the anger in his heart in the end. "Forget it. Let's go back and find Fury first," Captain America said in a daze. Now he is like a walking dead, completely without the vigor and fighting spirit before. Thor and Tony looked at Captain America like this, but they actually felt uncomfortable in their hearts. Even if they didn't say anything, they went to the aircraft carrier in the sky with Captain America. On the other side, Loki has arrived in New York City at this moment. What the hell is that monster? How come I've never heard of it, and there is such a thing as Uding? At this moment, Loki is also thinking about what is One Angel? As one of the gods of Asgard, Loki has seen many powerful and strange beings, but he has never seen one like the Angel of Wings. Haven't even heard of such an existence. Originally, I planned to show my wisdom in front of these mortals and tease them, but unfortunately, that monster disrupted my plan. The reason why Loki voluntarily surrendered just now was to tease Captain America and the others. Wanting to prove that I am the strongest, Captain America and their so-called superheroes are just Joker characters compared to myself. But because of the appearance of One Angel, Loki had to give up this idea. Because One Angel made Loki feel threatened, from the moment he saw One Angel, Loki had already confirmed one thing. This is an extremely dangerous existence, and I am afraid that I am not the opponent of this guy. And the magic that he was most proud of might not have much effect in front of this guy. So when facing One Angel, Loki chose to run away without the slightest hesitation. But after running away, Loki was wondering again. I have seen the appearances of all the creatures in the 9 realms in Asgard's collection, but I have not seen this guy alone. Is he, like Thanos, a faction that has never been recorded in Asgard's collection? Loki frowned and thought for a while, but he couldn't figure out the reason, so he could only let it go. I originally planned to have fun with those guys, but now it seems that there is no time for this number, and the most important thing right now is to get Thanos' army over as soon as possible. Loki is now preoccupied with conquering Earth and becoming king. Especially at the reception, after making those people kneel down, Loki felt the beauty of power and the importance of status. So now Loki wants to have this supreme power, this lofty position even more. But at the same time Loki is also afraid. He was afraid of the angel of 10,000 wings he saw before. He is very clear that it is an existence that he cannot defeat. and the other party seems to be very dangerous. As long as he is targeted by him, no matter what position he is in, he will be preyed on. This is what Loki is most worried about. A danger like this exists, and if it exists in this world for a second, it will make Loki more uneasy. So Loki wants to use the power of Thanos' army to completely destroy the Angel of 10,000 Wings, the only way to make him feel at ease. If you want to open the portal, it's best to find a place with plenty of energy, which will help Tesseract stabilize the portal. Loki looked around as he wandered around the city of New York. He wants to find a place that is full of energy and fits his identity as his first starting point to conquer the world. After all, he will soon become a king, so he can't be shabby in these aspects. Loki thought as he surveyed the entire New York City area. And soon he had chosen his target. It is full of energy and resplendent, and it is also the tallest building in New York. History of Stark Industries. That's right. In the end, it was the building of Stark Industries that Loki set his sights on. Not long ago, as the world's top energy expert, Tony, who has the ability to lead the world one or even several times, has just installed an energy self-sufficient circulation system for his building. That is to say, from the moment the system is started, all the energy sources of Stark Industry will be self-sufficient, and the infinite cycle will start again and again. This has basically reached the realm that those energy experts dream of, the key to unlimited energy. Therefore, Stark Industries was definitely targeted by Loki. Soon Loki came to the roof of Stark Industry and used the psychic scepter to notify Hawkeye brought Dr. Selvig along with him. Now is the time for me to become king. Loki uses the psychic scepter to control Dr. Selvig. Let him activate the power of Tesseract, open the portal, and send Thanos' Chitauri army over. Under the operation of Dr. Selvig, the Tesseract soon emitted strong energy fluctuations, and a space portal also slowly appeared. Watching this scene, Loki's face was full of smiles. He seems to have passed through this space portal and saw the moment when he became a king. The whole world knelt at his feet, and everyone bowed their heads to him. Even that annoying Thor. What a scene! And this time, the roof of a small house in New York. A bald head was standing on the roof, looking in the direction of Stark Industries. Can't see the future clearly? Ancient One's originally expressionless expression suddenly became heavy the moment the portal opened, because he found that the future, which he could still see clearly, suddenly became blurred at this moment. Regarding this battle, Ancient One does not intend to make a move. Because he saw his mission in the long river of time, he saw that he had to wait for someone to appear here and handed over the time gem in his hand to him. If he chooses to intervene in this battle, then time will be chaotic, and perhaps a more dangerous future will strike. But now Ancient One found that he couldn't see clearly. The originally clearly visible, doomed future seemed to be distorted by some force, and I couldn't see the future clearly anyway. Who is it? Odin? Or who is behind this war? Ancient One immediately looked up at the distant galaxy. It seems that at this moment Ancient One saw the majestic Odin sitting on the throne in Asgard. I saw Thanos, who was quietly waiting for the news of Chitauri's occupation of the Earth. Looking at the two people here, Ancient One confirmed almost instantly that they were not the ones who would change the future, but if it wasn't them, then who would it be? When Ancient One was lowering his head and thinking about who changed the future and whether he should intervene in this battle, he suddenly heard two completely different, but equally angry figure. Ancient One, are you going to start a war with me in Asgard? Sneaker in the dark, are you provoking God?
The end.
Chapter 74. Asgard, conqueror of the 9 realms, the throne of the god King Odin. Odin, who was sleeping, opened his eyes and looked towards Midgard, which is the direction of the earth. Known as the conqueror of the 9 realms, the war lunatic who once destroyed countless galaxies is now flickering with fierce flames of war in his eyes. And with the fire of Odin being ignited, the entire Asgard seemed to feel the fighting spirit of the God King. The Valkyrie blew the horn of war, the dead spirits woke up from their long sleep holding the immortal sword, and the powerful gods gathered under Odin's command, waiting for Odin to announce their next conquest goal. The giants of Jotunheim? Or the flame giant? Or the Midgard they've been coveting for so long? Odin saw the fighting spirit of the gods of Asgard, but Odin did not immediately announce the coming of war. Because he is waiting for Ancient One's answer, he will decide whether to launch a new round of conquest based on Ancient One's answer. The Ancient One is an Asgardian of Midgard, a powerful level god-father. Odin respects and fears Ancient One and Hinata. But this does not mean that Odin will be afraid of Ancient One. If he deliberately provoked himself just now, then he definitely doesn't have to give him face. There are some types of actions with Odin and Thanos. A war madman similar to Odin is also eyeing the Earth at this moment. He also felt the eyes of Ancient Ones secretly spying on him. Thanos knew that there might be strong people on Earth, but he didn't expect that there would be strong people of this level. But this did not make Thanos give up his plan to invade the Earth. Instead, he provoked Ancient One. If the other party really planned to intervene in his plan to invade the Earth, then Thanos would not mind killing the September 27th opponent completely. So Thanos' question just now was actually more of a warning. He's warning Ancient One not to meddle in their own business. The Black Order under Thanos also came to Thanos' side at this moment, observing the surroundings with a look of vigilance, guarding Thanos. Ancient One in downtown New York heard the angry voices of Odin and Thanos, but Ancient One didn't take it to heart. Although Odin seemed angry, it would be fine after a little explanation. As for Thanos, he is already an enemy, so it doesn't matter even more. Now Ancient One is more concerned about another thing. Who changed the future? Ancient One has observed both Odin and Thanos, but because of this, Ancient One can be sure that it is definitely not these two people who will change the future. Although they are all powerful, they are still on the track of time. This person who changes the future has already exceeded the time limit of this dimension. Ancient One can't figure out who changed the future. At present, there are only a few people who can intervene in time and Tion future. None of them had a reason, nor a need, to do so. Moreover, it can also make it impossible for the owner of Time Gem to see the future clearly. This strength has to make Ancient One start to reflect on whether there are still strong people in the world that he doesn't know about. Ancient One, what's your answer? While Ancient One was thinking about who secretly changed the future, Odin, who had been waiting impatiently, suddenly asked Ancient One. His voice travels through Asgard, through the 9 realms, and speaks to the One. Odin, there may be a mysterious force on Earth. Ancient One didn't tell Odin directly that all this was just a misunderstanding, but first talked with Odin about his discovery. There may still be a force on the Earth that none of them has information about. What's the meaning? Odin was originally a war lunatic. Perhaps after becoming the conqueror of the 9 realms, Odin's madness and fighting spirit have faded a lot. But that didn't mean disappearing, but after growing up, he began to learn to hide his edge and put the swordsman into the sheath. So when Ancient One said that there is still a side of the Earth, Odin immediately became energetic. I see the future being changed, but I can't find anyone who changes the future. In a word, Odin immediately understood the purpose of Ancient One's previous actions. Is anyone else after Midgard besides my foolish boy and his helpers? Although Loki is known as the god of tricks, in fact Loki's actions are all Odin's expectations. Whether it's colluding with the giants of Jotunheim, or working with Thanos, these things were actually seen by Odin, but Odin did not interfere. When the kids grow up, it's time for them to understand some truths. Odin wants to use these things, Thor and Loki, 2 incompetent children, to grow up and become a cooperative, golden existence that can inherit his glory and great achievements in the future. So Odin let Loki do what he did, and even made a pact with the Ancient One. During this time, try not to directly interfere with Loki's plans. That's why Odin was so angry when he noticed that Ancient One's eyes were peeping at Asgard and himself. He thinks that Ancient One might renege on his agreement and attack Loki. Once Ancient One's strength is used, Loki will definitely die. So Odin opened his mouth to stop Ancient One's extension, but he didn't expect Shurshur to say such a thing. It's still unclear who it is, but it can be determined that the other party is very dangerous. It can change the future and make it impossible to see the future even if you own Time Gem. This is enough to show the strength of the opponent. I understand. I will pay more attention to the situation in Midgard in the future. If something really happens, I will take action immediately. Odin doesn't want his plan to go wrong, so if there is any unexpected danger, he will immediately take action to solve the crisis. I will continue to pay attention to this matter. Ancient One was not surprised that Odin planned to intervene, but after communicating with Odin, they ended the conversation. But then Ancient One fell into doubt again. Should he intervene in this matter? The agreement with Odin is only one aspect, and more importantly, the future I saw told me that I must wait for someone to come here. But now the future has been changed, and I can't see the future at all. So do I really need to wait here? Ancient One doesn't know. So he is in the hesitation. Should the hesitation himself intervene in the battle that is sweeping across New York? But after repeated hesitation, in the end Ancient One chose to wait and see. Perhaps the future has changed, but it is also possible that the future has not changed. Ancient One decided that he should still wait here. Maybe during this period, it is not necessarily that I can see a new future. compared with the confusion and worry in the minds of Ancient One and Odin. The purpose of the urgently established Avengers Alliance, located high above the sky at this moment, should be much clearer. Stop Loki. They have only one purpose now. Phil Coulson was captured by a mysterious monster, and Loki escaped? Fury looked at Captain America and Tony in front of him with a livid face, and definitely Thor was looking around, looking like a curious baby. Yes. Captain America nodded with a gloomy face. We had already captured Loki and planned to bring him back for interrogation, but at this moment, many feathers suddenly fell from the sky, and then a feather like a wing, the formed sphere-like monster, appeared in front of us. It destroyed one of the plane's engines, and Tony and Thor went out to fight it in order to prevent the plane from being destroyed by him, but they couldn't kill the guy at all. Instead, because of this, Loki took the opportunity to escape, and Phil Coulson was also caught by the monster while skydiving, and his whereabouts have not been found yet. 111 Fury couldn't help but feel a sinking heart when he heard this. Haven't found whereabouts yet? It's impossible to find the whereabouts at all, right? He actually knew very well that in that case Phil Coulson was captured by the monster, and there was almost only a dead end. Thinking of his most trusted and capable subordinates and friends being taken away by monsters like this, even Fury is notoriously ruthless, but at this moment he couldn't help the burning anger in his heart. Fack! Fury slammed his fist heavily on the conference table, and Fury directly punched a shallow fist mark on the metal conference table. This made everyone look sideways. This is not to say how strong Fury is. In the eyes of superheroes like this, tables like this are nothing at all. But Fury is not some superhero, he is just an ordinary person. At most, it means that the combat power is stronger than that of ordinary humans, but in the final analysis, he is actually just an ordinary person, nothing more. An ordinary person can smash a mark on the metal conference table, which is enough to see how angry he is at the moment. I'm sorry about the Phil Coulson thing, but... Captain America looked at Fury so angry. What else did he want to say? But the words came to his lips, and he was blocked directly by Yong Rue. I already know about Phil Coulson, but the most important thing now is Loki. We must find Loki and take back Tesseract. And then? Fury originally wanted to tell everyone what their main goal should be now, but who knew that these words would attract Tony's doubts and ridicule? Tony, what do you mean? Fury looked at Tony suspiciously. He was keenly aware that Tony seemed to have something in his words. What do I mean? What do you mean you want to use Tesseract for? Tony looked at Fury with contempt. His expression was full of distrust towards Fury. At the beginning you told us that you wanted to use Tesseract to create infinite energy, but I just looked at your SHIELD plan. It seems that this is not the case? Tony, you hacked into SHIELD's database again? Fury looked at Tony in surprise. He didn't even know that this was the first time Tony had invaded SHIELD's database. What the hell is this B************ D trying to do? I have long thought that there is a problem with your shield. This time, it is just to be on the safe side, and I will let JRVIS in to see the result. Your SHIELD is to use Tesseract to make powerful weapons. Tony looked at Fury seriously. His words seemed to contain condemnation and questioning. Although Stark Industries is in the arms business, after Tony returned from the Middle East, he began to think seriously about the arms business and moral issues. The final result was that Stark Industries was no longer engaged in the arms trade. So when it was confirmed that SHIELD was using Tesseract to manufacture weapons of mass destruction, Tony's view of Fury changed drastically. It's not all because of him. Facing Tony's questioning, Fury turned his head and pointed at Thor beside him. Thor holding a donut into his mouth at the moment, turning everyone's attention to himself. Thor, who hadn't figured out the situation, asked suspiciously, "Is this something you can't eat?" But ignoring Thor, Fury just continued. Since the appearance of Thor, I realized that there are many more powerful beings in this universe. In order to avoid in the face of these existences, human beings fall into a situation of no resistance. So I decided to use Tesseract to create a powerful weapon that is powerful enough to protect human beings. These words of Fury seem to indicate that he is doing this for human beings. But Tony didn't pay attention to these, and still just looked at Fury indifferently. I can't believe you. Anyone who pursues powerful force may become a key out of control. And so are you at this point. Fury yelled at Tony in displeasure. Suddenly Tony also fell silent. Indeed, the Mark armor he made was also a product that existed for the pursuit of 1.7 powerful power. But the reason why Tony made the Mark armor was just to satisfy his desire to invent. But no one would believe Tony's words. Therefore, the two could only look at each other, and for a while, the newly formed Avengers seemed full of fire. Calm down, all of you. Our current enemy? Dr. Banner was about to stand up and persuade the two of them, but then he heard Tony say, Banner, there is a cell specially used to detain you on this sky carrier, and they never trusted you at all? One word immediately silenced Dr. Banner and cast angry eyes on Fury. He had already tasted the taste of being imprisoned, and it wasn't as simple as once or twice. So Dr. Banner is very disgusted with the captivity. He originally thought that since he would be absorbed into the Avengers, it at least shows that SHIELD still trusts him, but he didn't expect that, but still full of doubts. Seeing this situation, Fury also had a headache. He managed to get together all the Avengers. Could it be that they are going to fall apart like this? Our first concern right now is Loki. Fury wanted to say something else, so he briefly brushed off the question. But before he could finish speaking, he heard a loud noise. Flying towards the giant armored beast in the sky. It even bit the sky carrier into a big hole. And from the big hole, Fury and others saw the situation outside. Countless alien armies are constantly invading New York through the portal above the Stark Industrial Building. The end. Chapter 75. In the sky above New York, everyone in the Avengers Alliance, which was still fighting among themselves just now, is now fighting with Chitauri's army. No matter how much dissatisfaction is with SHIELD, how much disdain is for Fury's face-to-face and behind-the-scenes approach, but everyone is human after all. Everyone's purpose has not changed. It has always been their goal to fight against evil and protect humanity and justice. In the face of this big goal, some small contradictions and disputes can be forgiven. SHIELD's sky carrier has now made an emergency landing. Fury stood on the ground and looked up at the sky. Chitauri's army was fighting with Tony and the others. The sky behemoths wearing metal armor carried Chitauri soldiers across the sky above New York. The weapons in their hands could emit ultra-high-temperature lasers, wreaking havoc in the city. High-rise buildings, metal buildings, and humans running around and screaming. Under their attack, they will all be melted into wisps of green smoke in the end. Explosions sounded constantly in the city, and homeless people were at a loss everywhere. They didn't understand what happened. They were still working in the company a few minutes ago, thinking about what to eat after get off work. But now, these horrible aliens suddenly appeared, destroying their homes, killing their families and friends. The fear of death was spreading in their hearts, causing them to flee in panic like ants submerged in water. This time Chitauri's attack came too fast and too unexpected. Neither the military nor SHIELD had time to sound the warning. The whole of New York has been engulfed by the flames of war. Countless people died under the flames of war, and countless wealth was burned at this moment. New York? Fury looked at New York that had been devoured by the flames of war, and took a deep breath. Destroyed. That's right. Now New York has been completely destroyed. Chitauri's army and warships are wreaking havoc in New York, killing humans when they encounter them, and destroying houses when they encounter them. In an instant, half of New York was gone. At this moment, Fury's cell phone rang suddenly. Hello? I'm Fury. Fury answered the phone, and immediately there was a loud voice from the opposite side. From among these voices, Fury also heard some familiar people. For example, General Ross, several other generals, and many members of the parliament are all real upper-class people in the beautiful country. After a period of noise, an old man's voice came from the phone. Director Nick Fury, what kind of existence is New York to the beautiful country? You should be very familiar with it. New York is one of the economic centers of the beautiful country, an extremely important international metropolis. It's even the face of the country that can be said to be beautiful. This kind of thing happened in New York, which is so important now. And you must know that New York is where the headquarters of SHIELD is located. It has always been considered one of the safest cities, and now this kind of thing is simply slapping their beautiful country in the face. I know. Fury nodded and said sternly, this time it is the gods from Asgard, the god of trickery Loki, and his aliens who attacked New York. These are things we didn't expect, so we're not here to listen to your explanation. Fury was halfway through when he heard an angry voice from the other end of the phone. What our council wants is a solution to this trouble. Not to listen to it here. How do you explain how powerful your opponent is? I know, but... Fury still wanted to say something, but at this time it seemed that the opposite party had changed. Hello? Director Nick Fury, this is General Ross. Hearing General Ross' voice, Fury was still a little confused at first. After all, General Ross is nothing more than a lieutenant general after all. so there should be no room for interjection in this situation, right? But soon Fury figured it out. General Ross's previous contribution to Raccoon City and his current status in the hearts of the citizens of the beautiful country was enough for General Ross to have a seat in the parliament. General Ross, I'm here. This is Director Nick Fury. New York is the economic center of the beautiful country. There must be no loss. Although it was proposed to use nuclear bombs to completely destroy these invaders, the damage caused by this is too great. So I propose that my army help your SHILD enter New York to suppress these aliens. If this battle fails, the Council will launch a nuclear bomb and destroy these aliens together with the entire New York. Fury didn't answer General Ross immediately, but instead focused on the New Yorkers fleeing in a panic not far away. New York isn't Raccoon City, it's a truly cosmopolitan city. The resident population alone is more than 8.3 million, plus those homeless people. I'm afraid that this number will have to double on the internet. That's more than 10 million people. If these people and the whole of New York are all nuclear blown, is it possible that they are crazy? Fury thought so in his heart, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he agreed directly. General Ross, what can your soldiers come for? Already on the way, I will definitely be able to join the battle within 3 minutes. After General Ross finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly. But Fury looked at the black screen of the phone, but fell into deep thought. 3 minutes? I remember that although General Ross's headquarters is indeed near New York, it's not so close. No matter how Fury thinks, he feels something is wrong. No matter how you say it, it is impossible for General Ross troops to arrive so soon. General Ross troops were coming to New York before I said yes, even before Congress contacted me. What the hell is he trying to do? When did General Ross become so bold to mobilize troops without permission? Fury couldn't figure this out. How did General Ross come to be so bold that he dared to secretly mobilize troops, and he even came to such an important city as New York? Once this kind of thing is known by the Parliament, General Ross will never escape the punishment of the Parliament. But Fury just thought about it. After all, the most important thing right now is the crisis in New York. As for what purpose does General Ross have? These can be said later. Anyway, if you can't solve the crisis in New York now, maybe your end will be even more miserable than General Ross's privately mobilizing troops. Immediately, Fury picked up the communicator and notified Captain America of the incident. Do our best to prevent the invasion of these aliens, and the losses and casualties cannot be further expanded. The military will send support soon. Although no one else responded to Fury except Captain America, Fury knew that he had notified them, and they would definitely cooperate. Because this is the best practice. Rawls is an Air Force fighter pilot. Before Superhero and SHILD, such strange things appeared. Their Air Force had always been the highest status combatant in the beautiful country. Especially Rawls, who is a fighter pilot, is even more human. In his eyes, the army is nothing more than a lowly red deer. The peace of the entire beautiful country depends on their Air Force to maintain it. But since the appearance of Superhero and SHILD, this strange thing, everything has changed. Their Air Force is no longer the highest-ranking and best-paid soldier, because there is also a SHILD on their heads, and those superheroes who are loved by countless people. But in Rawls' view, these so-called superheroes are nothing more than sensationalists. They use their parts that do not belong to humans at all to get enough attention and fame among humans, and then use this fame to get some benefits that should not belong to them. It is precisely because of the appearance of these guys that the army's funding is getting worse year by year. These real fighters cannot get the benefits they deserve. Instead, they spend all the money to support those so-called superheroes, and that unknown SHILD, but now is their chance to prove themselves. Aliens attack Earth and mess up New York City, and SHILD can't do anything about it. Now is a good time for their army to show their talents. He wants to take this opportunity to prove to the whole world that only their army can protect the people, only their Air Force is the best, and Rawls is the well-deserved ace of the Air Force. With this belief, Rawls felt that his driving skills seemed to be a bit higher. It was even better than the time when he escaped under the siege and interception of more than a dozen enemy fighter jets. Captain Rawls, your mission is to assist SHILD Iron Man Tony Stark to attack the biological warships in the sky, delay their speed, and absolutely not let them leave New York City. Repeat, Captain Rawls, the mission is to assist SHILD Iron Man Tony Stark. Receive. Rawls returned to the headquarters with a look of disdain, but he never thought of acting in accordance with the orders of the headquarters. Assisting Iron Man Tony Stark? Is that Playboy? This kind of person can also be the embodiment of justice? Can also be a superhero? It's ridiculous. Rawls has never liked superheroes, Whether it is the Captain America who is admired by countless people, or the Iron Man who has attracted countless fans. In his opinion, they are just jokers. Those who can truly protect the peace of the world should be soldiers like them, and it should be him, Captain Rawls. Hey, brothers, New York is ahead. Let's see how those superheroes guard this country. Rawls and his Air Force Brigade are all the type who don't like superheroes very much. So the moment Rawls said these words, there was a burst of laughter from the onboard communicator. It seems that everyone is waiting to see the moment when superhero makes a fool of himself. And at this time they all entered the sky above New York and saw Chitauri and their battleship. It was a huge creature whose whole body was wrapped in a metal shell and could soar in the air like a fish. The creatures are no bigger than a carrier, and they have Chitauri on their backs. They are like pirates in ancient naval battles, holding weapons in their hands and constantly shooting around. A series of ultra-high temperature lasers shot out from the guns in their hands, punching a big hole in the surrounding houses, and even directly vaporized some human beings without leaving any traces. At the same time, they also saw Iron Man Tony flying in the air. He is attacking these Chitauri with the arc pulse gun in his palm at the moment. 670, almost every hit would send a Chitauri soldier flying out of the air, and then fall straight down to his death, even on the spot when Tony fired an arc pulse cannon to kill. But no matter what, the Chitauri soldiers killed by Tony are not proportional to the current huge number. Looking at this scene, Rawls not only did not have the slightest worry, but even became excited. Hey guys, let's give this Iron Man the whole job. After Rawls finished speaking, their entire Air Force formed a formation immediately and flew directly beside Tony. The strong wind even almost blew Tony away. Seeing the crazy looks of these airmen, Tony immediately understood. Damn it, are these guys trying to scare me? Tony said something dissatisfied, but he didn't do anything, because he knew that no matter how unfriendly these fighters were, they were his own people after all, and they were here to help him. At this moment, Rawls and the others have already arrived around a giant sky beast. Looking at the fighter jets appearing around him, the Chitauri soldiers on the back of the giant sky beast, there is no at the slightest hesitation. They shot immediately. But it had no effect. All their shots were dodged by Rawls and his teammates, and after being attacked by Chitauri, Rawls and the others immediately drive the fighter jet to the sky. And after the fighter plane was almost 90 degrees vertical, it suddenly fell down as if launching a suicide charge against the sky behemoth. However, just as it was about to approach the sky behemoth, it suddenly rose again, and at the same time a large number of bullets poured out from the muzzle of the fighter jet. The powerful firepower formed a tongue of flame, licking the back of the sky behemoth. Although this did not have any impact on the sky behemoth, it wiped out the Chitauri on its back. Looking at this scene, Rawls immediately let out a smug laugh. Great job, guys. Now we can finally show these superheroes who is. Before Rawls finished speaking, he realized something was wrong. Many white feathers suddenly appeared around him, falling down like raindrops. This is. Before Rawls could reflect what was going on, a huge amounts of white feather ball suddenly appeared in front of him. At such a short distance, Rawls couldn't use it even with his superb skills. He bumped into the feather directly. And Tony in the distance also saw this scene at this moment. Fact. It's the monster that killed Phil Coulson. The end.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.